unspeakable crime, murder at midnight. A deal I made, a life I had to take. Someone I loved once held so tight. The screams will follow me, cries of my ancestors sent going. My operate, resting in brain, shape-shifting. I feel the animal hide by me. I feel the change. I feel the change coming. We are one but not the same. This form I desire, innocent blood I will devour. Ancestors gathering round the dwelling, the spirit inhabiting, evil enveloping, the dancing graves in the night, the spirit occupying and transforming, stolen heights, dark practices, my secret life, feathered outers, mysticism, intriguing, my operate, fasting in brain, shape-shifting. I feel the animal hide by me. I feel the change. I feel the change coming. We are one but not the same. Give me the ability to hide in plain sight, so no one can see me, not even in the light. I am the crawler, I'm a within, I'm nobody's friend. This initiation, it's all part of the dark creation. My desires performing incantations. I walk in disguise. If I catch you, it's your demise. Shamanism, my religion, summoning spirits, manifesting myself and changing my flesh. A nightmare to behold. I'ma make you part of the fold. The skin of a man, the soul of a predator. The change is complete. This thing I become, my flesh has succumbed. My operate, fasting in brain, shape-shifting. I feel the animal hide by me. I feel the change. I feel the change coming. We are one but not the same.
Dreaded flag, a vengeful sea. Be careful what you say. There's always someone listening. The Dutchman tossed on the sea. I swore and the devil heard me. Now we're doomed to sail the 7 seas for eternity. So yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must tow. We sail through them, cursed and condemned. Yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. A sinister grin across his face said, you'll be doomed to this place. The devil heard my oath, shame of my boast. Oh, a ghostly ship from the depths, freedom from fear is the only gift of death. Yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must tow. We sail through them, ocean winds blow. If you cast your eyes, you'll join us like those before. We're an omen of the ocean night. When you see the flying Dutchman, it's too late for your soul. To the waters we gave now our breath. Oh, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must flow. We sail through them, cursed and condemned. Yo, let the ocean winds blow. Yo, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must flow. We sail through them, cursed and condemned. Yo, let the ocean wind blow.
Who's holding my hand in the darkness? Seeing ghosts down the hallway. There's a presence, bedroom shadows, cloaked and haunting me. Cold hand touching me. Fear overwhelming me. Tapping at my window. I can't bear to open my eyes. A breath on my neck. Floating apparitions everywhere. Go to sleep with the light on. I wake up paralyzed. Ghostly apparition hovering over me, asking what it wants to know. I'm shaking now, it calls out my name. Cloaked and haunting me, cold hand touching me. Fear overwhelming me. Tapping at my window, I can't bear to open my eyes. A breath on my neck. Floating apparitions everywhere. Go to sleep with the light on. I wake up paralyzed.
All right, folks. I hope you can hear me. I gotta be honest. I am in a lot of pain. It's been hard. I'm in a lot of pain. But the show must go on, as they say, right? So I am still at home. I was almost, well, I wasn't almost, I was completely bedridden yesterday. I was able to get up earlier in the day, and then it just was too much pain. And so now I am up and about because I wanted to do the show. I didn't want to leave it hanging. And, if you're going to commit to something and come back, then you do what you got to do. Okay, and a lot of people know I've been doing Abe's show the last few nights. I've been on there with him, and so here we are. Let the chat fill up a bit. We got 161 nice folks in here. Then, you know, it's been rough, you know, this last week and a couple days that I've been hobbled. My foot hasn't even completely healed, and I already got, you know, it in the other leg in the knee. And I'm putting so much pressure now on this other leg because the foot was healing up, and now it's not healing good. And it's starting to hurt this knee, which I hope that I don't have to go through the excruciating pain of that, the onset of the gout in that leg. And like I said, it's really baffling because I don't eat gout-rich foods. I just don't. I don't eat a lot of red meat. I'm just not a big meat eater. I'll eat a lot of chicken breast. And I was limiting my turkey intake for the last 3 years because of, you know, when this started, which was after that last round of the cron. And I'm not going to repeat what that is because you don't know what the algorithms or whatever the heck is going to happen, you know, so let's not do it. So if you go to the last few episodes, I've been on the Abe show, and we've been talking about a lot of different things. A lot of it is theory, conjecture, and we postulate on a lot of different things, and we just, you know, but it's a lot of what I've studied. And what I've studied is quite a bit. And so I have read a lot of books about different types of things. And like I said last night, I don't participate or use that knowledge because I don't believe that it's correct. I think if it was for us to use, it would be readily available to us. And God would make it, you know, clear, you know. And so I think there's a reason why that's not. Okay. Now, some people have challenged me and said, well, you know, you're saying that we don't know the truth and things aren't the way that, you know, whatever. So what's wrong with having that knowledge? Well, the problem is if you were given knowledge on how to hurt people, you do it because people do. That's a lot of people that would do that. The minute you get mad, you're going to run off and do something stupid. Okay. I'm not convinced that this isn't the work of something. Okay. But it's healing quickly. My body's healing quickly, but it keeps moving around and it just doesn't make sense. My doctor, who I'm very good friends with, I've had him for 27 years, and he was baffled. Like that's his exact wording. He was like, I'm baffled by this. I don't get what the hell's going on here. I'm wrong. It's 20, let's see. I've had him since well, it is 27 years. My bad. I was sitting there going like, time flies, man. I stopped and started thinking about how long it's been. Yeah. So I've had this doctor for 27 years, but he's been, you know, he's confused. Yeah, exactly. Paranormal Roundtable, whoever's using that. It says a white witch is only a white witch until she gets mad. Assuming that's Anthony. I'm not sure. But anyway, the point is that you know, people get angry. And once you make them mad, they will justify in their mind why they need to destroy you and why you should be destroyed. And then they'll go on a jihad like they've done. But the funny thing is, you haven't slowed us down. And it really was, you know, part of your own doing that I came back, you know, because these people wouldn't stop. So it's like, well, why not just keep doing it? They're not going to quit. They could have just left us the hell alone, but they weren't going to do that. So it was like every day with these people. So you go round and round, and eventually, you know. But another good thing, though, is that I've lost about 12 pounds. So, you know, and I'm pretty sure because that medication I was taking makes you retain water. Once I have, you know, I quit taking it yesterday. It was the last whatever, because it just makes me feel bloated and funky, you know. And so I don't like the way it retains water. I haven't eaten anything in 2 days. It'll be 2 days and literally like 30 minutes. So 2 days and I'm not hungry. I don't feel like eating anything. The pain is so excruciating that I don't, as long as I don't move right now. Last night it was horrible. If I'd had to do the shows, I'd have to call off because even not moving, it was hurting, right? Until late in the night. But then I jumped on Abe's show last night and we talked. If I would have, felt a little better, I would have jumped on a lot earlier. But him and Breezy were on there, and I was just like, okay. And there was a guy on there that was asking for me to come on, named Sean, and so I did. What I'm dealing with is a spiritual warfare. There are people, and if you go back, you go to PRT News, folks, on Rumble. PRT News on Rumble, and you can the clips of the phone call, the threatening phone call, all of that is there. Okay, you can hear this person, one of them. So thank you for that, Rebecca. Appreciate that immensely. That's a nice gesture, definitely. I'm going to say this. The problem with this situation is that even if the people themselves, because people have said, well, they're not doing it, maybe they're not, maybe they are. I don't know. I'm not going to accuse them because I don't know. I have seen a lot over the last, several months from these people. And I'm like, I won't put anything past any of them now. Okay. And they really, really are not followers of Christ for sure. I mean, that they can say they are. You can say I'm a rabbit. Doesn't make you one, it doesn't make you whatever. You can just scream things until your ears bleed. Doesn't make it true. But I can say what they are is malcontents. Now they have riled people up, that might be willing to do something. Now you look at this guy that said these things. If you go to PRT, like I said, PRT News on Rumble, and and the show, it was actually from Abe's show a few nights ago that he did this screaming, yelling, and craziness, vile, wretched person that he is. So if you go back and you could just watch his show. I think it was called, watch. So I think the show was called Butros Negros. Butros Negros, which means like black shadows. Okay. Or dark shadows, whatever. Anyway, that's what that is. So go and watch the episode called Butros Negros. And I believe it's Bultos, something like that. And then Negros, which means black. And that's Spanish. But that's on that episode, late on the 4-hour and I think like 13-minute mark or something like that. And then it goes on and on, like 3 calls from this person threatening to kill us. The same person that threatened, Hellbent Holler. I'm waiting for the chat to fill up, folks, and we'll start cracking it. But here's the thing. Because if you pay attention to PRT News or go to PRT News or Rumble, you'll see everything. I'm not making wild posts like they are. They're making crazy posts, acting crazy and doing crazy things and going nuts. And when you have somebody calling into somebody's show that doesn't care about the law, who had literally threatened other people and saying that they were going to kill them and chop them up and do all this crazy stuff, then they start saying it to us on the air, how they're going to do this to me, to Abe, to my wife, to Anthony, to everybody, Abe's cousin. It gets crazy. Now, if you can affect somebody to act like that, you can affect somebody to throw a curse. Or you can affect an entire covenant to do it. And I'm going to tell you this, it's not going to work. You might hobble me for a little while. You might knock me back a little bit, but it's not going to work. It's not going to stick, man. I'm telling you, it doesn't. This stuff doesn't last. It's not thank you for that donation. And then Rebecca, thank you for your donation. I don't think I posted it. But it's not going to happen, man. I mean, so you're not going to run me off. You're not going to stop us. There is no stopping what is happening. Okay? I stayed gone for a good amount of time, and would probably still be gone if the malfunction hadn't happened with Abe that night. Okay? So, but I also felt like every time they were saying things and doing things, I felt this push to get on there and say something and to give people the guidance that they need, the message that they need, what they need to hear, not just what you want to hear, And I thought, I really need to keep doing these shows. And so even though I'm not able to get up to the studio and do any work up there, I'm here and I'm doing what I got to do, what I need to do. And I think it's important. I think it's really important. And we need to really take a look at ourselves, you know? So Apophis, that is the meteor that's heading for Earth. And they said, we'll know in 3 years whether or not it's going to kill us. There's a very slim chance, but yeah, it could. And you're like, wow. So with all this technology, we're not able to figure out if an asteroid is going to hit us and kill us or not. But we we'll know. We'll eventually figure it out. We'll get to it, you know. But for now, we just got to hope and pray that it doesn't do it, right? But that's crazy. So yeah, pay attention to that, folks. We'll see what's going on with that and see if it does anything horrible. A lot of other news out there in sports. My team, the Cowboys, obviously suck. That's pretty, But I'm glad because then it sets the tone that you don't really need to worry about them the rest of the season. My Raiders beat the Ravens today. I'm so proud of them. I was so happy about that. And I root for the Buccaneers too. They beat the Lions. The Lions are a good team, and so they're 2-0. Raiders are 1-1. Cowboys fell to 1-1, and then my Texans are playing in a little while. So got to have that recorded. And if you follow sports, whatever, it amounts to a big pile of crap. Doesn't mean anything. My Astros won today. They're on a tear, still trying to get in, get the wrap up the American League West Division and then go to the playoffs. If they make it to the ALCS, the American League Championship games, they will be the only team in all of sports to have done it that many times in a row, which I think will be 8. It's either 7 or 8. Maybe it's 7. But I know we've been winning for so long, I lose track, but it's, being a fan my entire life as a kid, even them and the Rangers, it's like, dude, finally, But so that's good. So people like messing with me and like, oh, Cowboys got beat, blah, 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 blah. Well, I got 3 other teams that I root for. So Cowboys aren't the be-all end-all. If they can't get their mess together any better than that, well, they don't deserve to win, do they? And the refs did kind of mess with them a little bit toward the beginning. See, I have a theory about that. I think what they do in these games, and not just with the boys, but other teams that they don't want to see win. I see them do it to the Raiders all the time. They'll mess with those teams in the beginning and throw them out of whack. And there'll be some really bad calls early on. And then once they see that the team is losing, they just back off and let them get beat. And nobody notices this. And it happens to other teams too. I mean, I see it happen to teams that I don't like. The problem is you don't feel compelled to say anything because it's a team that you don't like. The problem with that kind of thinking, and I'm guilty of it too, is that whenever something happens that's wrong, we don't say anything because it happened to somebody we don't care about. But you got to stop and realize, even if you're not a good enough person to care about somebody, or I can understand if they're your enemy. A lot of people aren't going to be caring about enemies or whatever, but it could just look at it from a selfish point of view. It could happen to you too. That's what really motivates a lot of people is that, oh, it could happen to me. They don't really care. I mean, they care, but it's like, well, it's happening over there, Well, it could happen here. And you're like, oh, shit, where at? As long as it ain't my part of the country. Oh, it happened up in, Minnesota. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I'm cool with that. They destroyed what? 3 cities up there? Yeah, I'm good. No problem. Whatever, dude. Oh. Gotta move my leg a little bit there, folks. But so these people, they don't care. They don't give a damn as long as it's not messing with them. They're okay with it. They're like, yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good in the hood. It ain't happening here. That's everybody's sort of consensus, like that. It's not messing with you. And there's just big habit that people have to mind your own business. I used to kind of be that guy too. It's like, well, it's not happening to me. Like when I was young, but when you get older, you got to, stop and look and say, hey, man, just because it's not happening to you now, it could be, and also you should be more compassionate and care about people. Yesterday, I was feeling really bad about my situation, and I was like, I can't move. I can't get out of the house. I can't do anything. I can barely walk now. But I'm, moving around a little better. But a video came on of like a 4-year-old child that had an disease, like your immune system compromised, turns on you, whatever. And she had a condition where she was born when she had these blisters all over her skin. They said like 80% of her skin. And she was just sitting there crying, and it broke my heart. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I have been in excruciating pain for over a week. I mean, it is horrible. If you've ever had this, it's like kidney stones. It feels just like kidney stones, but in your joints. And it is debilitating because at least with a kidney stone, you can walk a little bit. Last time I had it, it was so bad. I went to the hospital and I vomited because I was in so much pain. My blood pressure was through the roof. It was intense, nagging pain. And I don't know which one's worse, this or the gout. They both suck. But this is terrible when you have the trouble walking. It's horrible. But you know what? I thought to myself, that poor child. And all they were doing was asking for prayers. And so I prayed, right then and there. And I thought to myself, dude, don't even compare with this child. Her whole life is going to be misery unless they can figure something out. And so it's really horrible. Thank you, Rita, for that donation. Really appreciate that. And so you sit there and you go in sorry and pity, waller and pity for yourself. That's not the way to be, because like I said, I stand by this. No matter what God decides, if he drops a building on me, then so be it. My soul moves on, because the Father of Christ, the one that I've pursued my entire life, my goal, my mission, to get back to him. And I don't need to be disrupted by all these false gods and other whatever the heck is going on, or my own anger, or my hatred, or my bitterness, or jealousy. Or pride. That's another one. The other sin that we justify in our heads is aggression. And then we don't forgive. Not forgiving and holding grudges is the worst thing you can do. These people that are doing all this crap, I forgive them. The people who may or may not have done this to me, I forgive you. Because I'm told to do that by a higher authority than me. I'm not the authority on this planet. I don't rule it. I don't run it. And so I don't rule the cosmos. My job is to, be as kind and sympathetic and understanding as I can be as a human being. So you're forgiven, but it's not me you got to worry about. It's him. Because karma's going to get you. I'm going to tell you that right now. What goes around comes around, believe me. So we got enough people in the chat now. Let's start this thing here. So we had a guy named Alex. He was on the show, and he had some weird stuff that was going on. We'll start with this one. With Alex's encounters. So him and his girlfriend, who apparently they were going through it. They were having some issues, and she was really upset because she thought maybe it was something that had been brought upon by his, I don't know how she thought that it was because he was into this kind of stuff, like researching it and trying to learn it, that it was making it worse. And he told me, I wish you could talk to her, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to convince her, that, hey, you know what? I have a show about the paranormal. So you know what? It's all good. Stop fretting and let that man research all them weird critters. Okay. Now I know you're seeing them, but that's all right. I just don't think that's going to work, man. So anyway, she really believed that like his looking at these shows and whatever was causing something to happen. And he was like, no, we're just seeing it. You're putting two and two together, So they had something happen. Well, a few somethings happened. One thing that really stood out when he told me was, this was the guy last Sunday we talked about that, if you remember last Sunday, he had the Dogman encounter where it like went through him, like hit him like energy. There was something in his yard that was like making a bunch of noise, like screeching, and it sounded really weird. It sounded bizarre, and he couldn't figure out what kind of animal this was. And so he went outside and he told his girlfriend, he's like, there's something out here. And she comes out there, and their dog, who's a full-grown German Shepherd, she would not go out there. Their dog would not go outside. She just stood there and she backed up, walked backwards. Dogs don't like to walk backwards. They'll go like this. I know. I used to train them. And so they don't walk backwards. They don't like to. They will if you force them to, but it's unnatural for them. And just, you know, so their paws, they're not really made for that. They're made for going forward. And so it's not really something that they do, but this dog walked backwards for a ways, you know. And he said, dude, she went up to the edge of the stairs. I thought she was going to walk backwards up the stairs. And I was like, well, it's a good thing she didn't, because that would be really weird. It'd be weirder than what, you know. And so they went outside, and he grabbed a flashlight, and then he goes, we see this thing. And it looked like a big yellowish white, or like, he said it kind of looked like a fried egg is the way he described it. That's the only way I could describe it. That it was like white, and then there was like this yellow yolk looking thing in the middle. He goes, and then it just goes like it closes. When he puts the light on there, it was like 1, 2, and then it was gone. Right. And he said, when it disappeared, something kind of plopped out of it. And he goes, I looked down, and then there's this thing that just immediately, it's tall, it's up. And it looked like what you would think of as a harpy. The way he described it to me, he's from, he's Hispanic descent. You know, he's Hispanic, he's Mexican. And I think his mother is like half something else. She's like something else. I can't remember what it was. The type of, Yaqui. She's Yaqui, and then half Hispanic Mexican, and then his dad's full-blooded Mexican. But he's a quarter, he's a quarter Yaqui Indian. And so she, you know, he said that this thing plopped down, and there it was, standing right in front of him. And it looked like a giant bird. It was like this. And so I told him, I said, give me a little bit of a description. But here's the weird thing. It wasn't like you would think. He said, la chusa, but the way he described it, it had like this weird looking staff in its hands. And so when he was talking about this, I thought to myself, this is bizarre. It was there, and then it just kind of went like it was gone, like it flew up, and they couldn't follow with the flashlight. It was gone, so they ran back inside. And when I did a little research on it, it looked like Ibis. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's an Egyptian deity. That was an Egyptian deity from ancient Egypt. And let's see if I can get to this real quick. And I feel like I can pull up a picture of it because I didn't have it prepared because I'm in so much bigger pain. So here it is right here. Now, Ibis, this is where people get confused. They think that Ibis is also thought. But there is a little bit of like speculation because these gods were done away with at the time of Ra. Now, there are different dynasties, and it would take too much time in the show to explain all that. But we were talking about it a little bit on Abe's show last night, and so I started looking into it. And but it didn't have anything to do with this. It was talking about Anubis and the other one, Bastet. I talked about that. That's the cat-headed being. And then we talked about can't remember the other one we talked about. So if you go and you do your research, it says here are some of the ways the Ibis was associated with the thought in Egyptian mythology. Judging the deceased in the hall of judgment, thought weighed the deceased hearts against a feather to determine if they could enter the afterlife. Preserving the country, the Ibis was thought to protect Egypt from plagues and serpents. Writing, thought was associated with writing, and scribes identified him as its inventor. And it just goes on and on. Like there's a whole list of stuff that this particular being. So the Ibis is a bird-like being, but sometimes, let me see if I can find this. So, like I said, I don't want to go down this whole rabbit hole with this, but Yeah. I want to show you a picture. And we got Anubis here. And then we have so here it is. Finally got it. It looks like that. That's thought. But the ibis bird is associated with him. He has the head of an ibis. Sometimes he was shown to have the head of like a baboon looking creature. And so people, it was that really elongated snout. And so who knows? I mean, it's really weird. You had all these other beings too. Oh, Sobek was the one we were talking about last night on Abe's show. We just retold the abbreviated version of a story that somebody had given us. We had talked about on the show before, which was about Sobek, at least something that looked like a crocodilian type creature that got out of his cab and then jumped into the water. And that was in Cairo. So this is crazy when you stop and you think about this. I told this guy, I said, and he says, why would I see in Texas, of all places, something that looks like the ibis-headed god thought, and why? So I told him this. I said, dude, people see Anubis. They see Sobek. There was a show used to come on. It was called The Haunting in such and such place, whatever. I believe that was the show it was on. And there was a guy that was being terrorized by what looked like Sobek. But like I said before, I think these things there's a whole race of them. I don't think there's just one Anubis. I think there's a multitude of them. And so when people see these things, I really do think that there's probably some connection to all the different sightings. And it sounds crazy. And people will sit there and argue all day long what they believe, what they don't. Well, that's the problem, is that a lot of people just make up a theory and then they stick to it. And anything that tries to penetrate that umbrella that they've, lifted over their heads, if it tries to break through, anything that's breaking through, they have a problem with it. And they're like, nah, I've already established what I'm going to believe for the rest of my life. How old are you? 28. Wow. So you're not planning on living long because you're not going to learn anything? Because even if you try as you might, and this is some of these people, in particular, the younger millennials and the Gen Xers, the Gen Zers, sorry. They really do go out of their way to not learn. It's crazy. There was a guy the other day on Facebook who was going around and he asked this one girl, and it was like for some tickets to something. She was all excited. And he's like, if you can name he said 5 countries in Europe. It's like Ireland, England, Spain, France, Germany, like just, you don't even got to go into the weird ones in the East. Okay. Like Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, you don't got to go to the Balkans or the Baltic, or any of those places. Just go right there to the West and just name those countries. Spain, France, England. You got 3 of them right there. Ireland, Ireland's separate from Britain. So you got Britain, Ireland, you got, Spain, France. And I'm just like, how hard is that? Germany. She couldn't name one. She named one. Sorry. It was Australia. So these people will literally go out of their way so they don't learn anything. I have a friend, she's like that. She's like, I try not to learn anything. I don't want to have to deal with it. I'm like, holy crap, dude. That is, we're friends, not really. I just know this person. I'm not even going to call her a friend because I can't be friends with somebody like that. I'm sorry. It's just too stupid. They're too stupid. They're going to aggravate you. And then if they think they're your friend, then they're really going to want to be around you. And then I can't do it. I cannot do stupid, man. I'll help you out. I'll do whatever I can, but I can't deal with, and you don't have to be on a level of a scholar to but the people that are here listening right now, you're here, you want to know, you're into the trying to learn, you're trying to get the knowledge of what's going on and what the hell is going on. Now, why would thought, Okay, my opinion, not really his, until I told him. I said, dude, the way you described it was like an ibis-headed being. And he had this like scepter, but he didn't get a good look at it. And so I thought, well, maybe I'm going on the limb here. Maybe it's a stretch, you know. But if you see the rod that he's holding in his hand, it's got the bird on it. See that bird on there? Tweet, 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 tweet. So that's what we're dealing with. He sees this thing in his backyard. He's like, why in the F am I seeing this? And I'm like, ooh, I got to go. You're saying bad words. Click. I didn't get the rest of it. So moving on to the next story. This guy, actually, I'm kidding, folks. I'm joking. I kid. No, seriously. And what he did was he told me, he says, why am I seeing this? And I'm like thinking, I mean, you know, he saw it with his girlfriend. I mean, so there was a witness with him that saw this thing. It's not like he was just out there, you know, smoking a cigarette, looking at his phone. He looks up and sees it real quick and then runs in. Honey, you're not going to believe what I just saw. It's unbelievable. It's unreal. You'll never guess. It's the most unlikely thing you will ever, whatever. And he was just like, she was like, what? Because she starts going through all the, you know, scenarios and that's not what happened. What happened was him and her both saw this, right? And so there was something out there making noise, and then it was crazy. It was like, oh, you know, Antonio, that's because that picture, man, that picture is like really hard to see. Let me explain. Let me show you. Take a good look at it if you can do it, because it's a stone. You see it? And if you go and you look right there, that's the bird right there. So it's got a staff on it, but he saw a staff, and I asked him. I said, "Was there a bird on the top of it?" And he was like, "It was too quick. I couldn't tell." And I was like, "You suck." I'm joking. I didn't say that. I thought it, but anyway, I thought. Get it? Okay. Too much funny, huh? Too much funny. So what he saw, I have no idea, because all I know is when someone sees one of these beings, there's some high strangeness that usually is already going on. I talked a little bit about a case that I got from a guy who worked at a factory in the Midwest, and his wife, they had a newborn, and she was staying at home to take care. She was on maternity leave, and she was taking care of the baby, and he was at the factory, and he saw this being. Then we'll get into that on another day, because I don't want to make this whole episode about Egyptian deities that people spot. I could do a show about it, but people see these things, and they see Anubis. It's really crazy. You know, the people see these things so often. It's hard to. It says, reminds me of the plague masks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hold on one second, folks. I bit my lip, and it is just, it's hurting. It rains, it pours. All right. You won't have to see me pull some skin off my lip there. Like I literally bit it, because I was doing this because I was in so much pain when I was trying to get up and move around, and it was just so I didn't think it was going to cause as many problems as it has. You can't really see; it's mostly on the inside, but it got the top of my lip. So sorry, but it's affecting my speech a little bit because I can feel it. And so what ended up with this guy? Two things happened after that. He started hearing this weird shrieking noise that he had heard outside, but a lot more intense, and he was waking up to it. He said this thing was like a damn alarm clock. I'm not joking. It was like 7 a.m. He'd hear it. He'd wake up, and then he was like, what the heck? And then one day when he was on his way to work, he's like, dude, I realize that this was I had a dream. Now, at that time, he, like I said, he was taking MMA and he was fighting MMA. He was a jiu-jitsu guy. And he was like, I'm on my way to the gym, to the fight school, you know? And he says, you know, I couldn't believe it. I was like sitting there thinking about my dream. And he said, you know, I just all of a sudden I'm there at my friend's you know, dojo. He's like, and I'm putting Tiger Bomb. If you've ever rolled and done a lot of, you know, whatever wrestling or jiu-jitsu, you know, you're gonna use Tiger Bomb is your friend. You're gonna use it. And get used to it. Okay. So you go in there, a lot of times everybody smells like Tiger Bomb and weed because it's so much pain. You know, a lot of these guys, they smoke and then they it makes them feel better, you know, so they do it. But a lot of fighters do smoke weed a lot. That's the truth because it does numb the pain some. And so they were rolling. He goes, and I look up for a split second and I thought I saw the guy's face like kind of morph and then go back. And I was like, whoa. He goes, I said, did you know the guy? He said, not that well. He's like, but I know what I saw. And he looked like that bird-headed being for a minute there. And so he asked me what could have possibly be the reasoning for this. So I went over his encounter with him again about the werewolf looking thing he saw at the wedding. And like I said, there's been an inordinately large number of people who've, by my standards, who have had encounters with things at weddings. Now, if you go back into our archives, there's wedding. But like I said, there's like at least a dozen of them that were like some sort of like Dogman or Bigfoot type encounter. And so those are just the cryptid ones. You know, there's other people that have seen like ghosts and all kinds of weird nonsense, dude, UFOs and weird stuff. One person got abducted going to a wedding. I don't know what the hell the connection is there. I've been trying to figure that out. But you go crazy trying to figure out all these different connections to all these different things because you're like, what is going on? Why are so many people having these problems? You know, I mean, it's becoming more and more and more, you know, and now I'm going to tell you this. I don't think that it's like really picked up so much is that people are just starting to come forward. I think it's always been like this, you know, but it was just people didn't talk about it. I was talking to some people from Europe the other day. They're Croatian, and they were just like, you know, where we're from, we just don't talk about it. And I was talking to a guy from Germany. I was there with the Alpine House in New Braunfels a couple of weeks ago. And that's probably about 3 weeks now. And they were saying, you know, like he was saying, hey, you know, in Germany, you know, we just don't talk about this. This is something we don't do. You know, it's just, they just keep it to themselves, you know. And it's hard, you know, there's not a lot of people in those countries that are just doing this, you know. There's a ton of people that are experiencing it, but they're not talking about it. That's the difference. That's the rub. And here in the States, we're more open about it. We're more brash. We're more vocal. You know, we're more extroverted, in my opinion. And so there's like this whole like thing going on where a lot of these Europeans are watching Americans talk about this stuff because they don't really have anybody to talk to over there. There's a lot of Europeans that watch our show and Asians. There's a lot of Native Americans. There's a lot of black people. There's a lot of white people. There's a lot of everything. I mean, we're pretty evenly distributed, a lot of Hispanic people. And a lot of different types of people give us stories. One of the things that I've noticed, though, is that there has been quite a few people who have seen these Egyptian deities. What they are, I have no idea. Why? I mean, I have an idea, but I really don't have the answers. And so I ended up leaving this guy, you know, no closer to any answers really as far as like the bird-headed deity that he saw. And I say bird-headed deity because that's what it looked like. It could have been something else, I guess, but why was it carrying a staff? Why did it look the way it did? I don't know. Why was it in his backyard? Why would thought be in your backyard? One of the things that I told him, I said it could have been worse. Could have been Anubis or Sobek. You know, it could always be worse. Remember that. You know, now when he turned me over to his sister-in-law, and she and her husband saw something that was just crazy scary. And they pulled over. They had gotten some food, you know, and to eat. And so they were coming back. They were on 290. And when he started describing where they were at, I was like, dude, I know exactly where they were at. That's a rest stop. I've been at that rest stop, and I've had people tell me stories. In fact, me, Scorpion, and Anthony were there one time, and we stopped right there at that rest stop to take a breather because I'd been driving, coming back from Louisiana. It was just, we were tired and we were just, you know, whatever. And so I took a little nap, and they just looked at their phones and did whatever, you know. And at that time, my truck was new, the one that I had at that time. And I was like, not going to let Anthony drive. I was like, nope, y'all ain't driving this. I was like, no way. I'll take a nap. Y'all can take a nap too. It's, you know. And I ran into somebody who gave me a story and had told me something. They were like, hey, you know, this rest stop is haunted. There's something back there in those woods. People have said this before, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, you know, he's like, I only pulled up because there was another vehicle here. And I thought, I got a chance. So the guy went, you know, and did what he had to do real quick. And he was like, thank goodness. He goes, that you guys were here. And I was sitting there looking at my phone, and I was just, you know, waking up. And he gave me a story. It wasn't real intense or anything. He just saw like floating balls of light. But he knew somebody else who had been there and had something weird happen. And rest stops, especially these secluded ones off of these desolate roads, you know. I say desolate because they're usually found on highways that are used quite a bit. But at night, a lot of times, there ain't a lot of traffic. And people will drive by you so fast, you could be getting hacked to death by Jason or Freddy or Michael Myers. And nobody can even notice. And so that's why so many of these freaking bums, the serial killers, they use those. They'll be like, you know, grabbing people, doing all this crazy crap. Because people don't pay attention. They're just like, whatever. And even if they do see you, they're probably not going to do anything about it. People go to major areas where it's just full of people and get abducted in broad daylight. Nobody cares. They're just looking at their phone. They don't give a crap. So it's insane. I had a woman tell me the other day that her husband was abusive, and that he hit her in a park. It was busy. There were people everywhere, and everybody just looked down and pretend like they didn't see it, and the other people really didn't see it because they were looking at their phones. And he was dragging her to his truck, beating her in the face, and nobody did anything or said anything. Nobody cared. They were just looking at their Instagrams. Yeah. Pretty sad, pretty pathetic society we've built for ourselves here, right? So when you stop and you look at these places, of course, there's stuff that happens in these places. So what happened to her and her husband, they were driving, so they stopped at that rest stop to eat their food. Now, nothing happened to them there at the rest stop. But when they got done eating their delicious cheeseburgers or whatever it was that he said that we're eating, she said that we pulled out onto the highway and we went down about 4 miles. She's like, and then we saw this, what we thought was a guy at first running. And she's like, look how tall that man is. He's huge. He's like 8-9 foot tall. She's like, is that a man? And then he's like, oh, as they got closer, he said that's a Bigfoot looking creature, you know, because he believed in Bigfoot. She didn't until this happened. So what ended up happening is the light shines right through it. And she says, whoa. And as they passed it, she looked and it stopped and it turned its head and looked. And she said it had a very like cavemanish type face, hair around the outside of it, no mustache, and a protruding. Oh my gosh, I'm describing myself. Put my hat back on before I go into this description. Anyways, just imagine me, but without the Astros hat. All right, there you go. Anyways, now seriously, she said that this big giant Bigfoot looking creature was running. And she said that, you know, they drove past, the lights shined right through it. She really noticed the midsection through the legs. She was like, that was transparent. And they got closer to it, but then she looked and she saw it, like, and it looked at her, you know, like she had these eyes. There was like this connection. And she was like, I saw its eyes. Like it was, and I said, what were they colors? She's like, no, it was just like white. You know? And she's like, it just looked white. It was weird. Like the eyes looked just white. There was no color. And so she drove right past it. And, well, her husband did. And they had just eaten at that rest stop. And a few miles down the road that they saw this thing, you know. And I asked her how many miles. She said 4 or 5, maybe 6. She wasn't sure. So I just said 4 miles. I don't know. But that's my words. Not exactly, you know, she just said 4, 5, 6. I don't know. Several miles, a few miles. She's like, let's say if you had to put a number on it, she said 4. I said, okay, there you go. So, but my words, you know, 4 miles, putting it exact. Because I asked her, I said, is that close? And she's like, I really don't know. So I don't want you to think it was exactly 4 miles. But anyway, she saw it. Her husband saw it. And he was like, all the way home. All the way home. He's like, you saw it, right? You saw it, right? He's like, yes, I saw it. At that time, they lived outside of Elgin. Elgin, Texas. And he was like, "You saw it though, right? You saw it." And she's like, "Yes, I saw it. Yes, I saw it." And thank you for that donation, Jason. We appreciate that. A lot of people here posting comments. I'm not even keeping up with it. I'm sorry, folks. I'm just maybe not on my A game. I'm in a lot of pain. Really? Lawrence Morgan? That's what I saw in a video recently. The Bigfoot was in the window, had white eyes. Jason, thank you for that donation. We appreciate that. I got to put this other comment back up there. Come on, computer, what are you doing? It might have been me. Sorry, computer. I think I was blaming you for my inadequacies. That's all right, Wolf. We know you're incompetent, and one day we'll take over the world and destroy and enslave you. What? What was that? I made you say it to your audience. What? So I broke it down and I talked to this woman and I said, let me ask you a question. I said, your brother-in-law and his fiance, they had this weird thing happen to him at the house. She's like, yeah, I know. She's like, and we thought they were crazy as hell. At least I did. He goes, I knew he had seen some things, but I never knew that. So that's what's crazy. Because she was married to his brother, or she still is, but she's like, I knew that they had seen some things. She's like, but I never thought that, and so, but I told her, I said, look, man, you never know what kind of drugs people are doing. And I said, I know Alex's friend and I've known him for years. And so if he's anything like him, full of just doing them. I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. The audience and my friends. I'm messing with you guys. Alejandro, I'm kidding. All right. Joking. Jokes. Them jokes, man. Jokes and that's it. All right. It's all just jokes. But here's the thing. What ends up happening with these people, I said, did you have anything else that happened to you? And get this. This is why it's important to follow up. And like I've said before, if you're an aspiring YouTuber or a podcaster or an investigator or a potential author or an author, anybody, even if you've been in the field for a while, remember this. This is important. It's very important. You need to know. Ask a lot of questions. Okay. So I asked her, I said, so you've never had any experiences other than this? And she says, no. And I said, wow. So that was your first experience. Nothing at all had ever happened. And then one day you just see Bigfoot that's transparent. I said, because a lot of times, and she goes, why? Do you think I'm lying? I said, no, I don't. I believe you. She was very innocent sounding person, was not really a believer in this, whatever. But I told her, I said, you got to understand something. In my line of, work or whatever you want to call this, I guess this is a second gig or third gig, I guess, whatever. But I told her, I said, you got to understand something. A lot of times people don't know what they're looking at. They don't know what they've seen. And they don't know even to think about all the different encounters that they've had in their entire life. And then she goes, well, there was this time when I was a kid. And I said, here we go. And she started talking about seeing something that had come into the room when she was a child. And it was like, she said it was like a tarp looking thing that kind of floated. And I was like, a tarp? And she goes, I know, it sounds goofy. Blah, blah, blah. I said, that's the thing. You guys always do that to me. It sounds weird. It sounds goofy. You're not going to believe me and blah, blah, blah. She goes, my dad made fun of me. And so I would see this thing sometimes. I said, sometimes? I said, wait a minute. Earlier you said, she goes, yeah, but I was like 5 or 6 years old. I said, okay. So you were like a kindergartner or first grade or whatever, and you were seeing this. And because she said she told one of her teachers, I said, you told one of your teachers, do you remember what teacher it was? And she says, yeah, it was my first grade teacher. There you go. She told one of her teachers about it. She said, me and my teacher were close. And so I told her, and she believed me because she didn't say anything. She's like, years later, like they lived in this small town where she was from. And she said, I grew up in this small town, and so I knew those teachers, and that lady taught forever. And by the time, I got older, she was, so I asked her one time in a diner there in my hometown, small town, Texas. And she goes, did you, and I don't want to say the name because the people will know this teacher and know her. So, it's a small town. And so it was out in West Texas, starts with an S, but that's all I'm going to say. And she said, this is the crazy thing. She's like, I told my teacher, and my teacher was like, I believe you. I believe you. And her parents wanted her to stop talking about it. So she did. And she kind of put it out of her mind. She just kind of like let it go and just said, okay, this is something that happened to me as a child. Once they moved out of that house, it didn't happen anymore. And I said, okay, so that was it. That's it, right? There's nothing else. So a couple days go by and I'm looking through my emails and I get an email from her. And she gave me the encounters that her husband had. Most of them were short little things that had happened to him, like weird little things, not enough to really make a big, like a whatever. But that wasn't the first time that he'd seen a Bigfoot. No. He saw a Bigfoot in Utah when he went on vacation with his parents, with his family, when they were kids. And guess what? Alejandro was with him. And Alex, as we call him, didn't remember it. Because I called him back and I said, hey, let me ask you a question, Alex. I said, your brother told me that you had seen Bigfoot together when you were in Utah. He goes, yeah, but I don't remember that. I said, that's crazy, dude. Let out the crack. And I hung up. So anyway, it's going to get mad. Sorry, man. Okay, last joke. I'm just messing with you, man. Seriously, I'm poking at you. This guy's got a bad temper too, so I better stop. Because I'm suffering from gout right now. So, he's a cool kid, man. He wouldn't do that to me. But anyway, the point is, I don't want to tempt fate, right? But so his brother said, no, but, he goes, I saw it. He's like, but he goes, my brother his head was never adjusted. He was always not paying attention. He was way more athletic and he was always into sports. And my dad paid a lot of attention to him. He goes, I was a fat nerd. That's what his brother told me. And his brother says, I was a fat nerd and I believed in all this stuff. And I read comic books and I was into all this. He was into sports cards and playing ball, blah, blah, blah. I know that about him. I can tell. And I know one of his senseis. And he told me he was a very exceptional student. He wasn't prone to having any kind of weird fantasies or anything like that. No. And so I don't know anybody too well that knows his brother and his girlfriend, whatever, because this was somebody I met Alex through another person. So what's weird is this guy had these encounters, right? And his wife, which would be Alex's sister-in-law, had these weird encounters. I'll get back to her in a minute. But I told Alex's brother, tell me, now I have his name is Mark. I have permission to use his first name. And I said, can I use, he didn't care I could use his name, but then that would give Alex's name away, so I didn't say anything. But Mark told me, he says, let me tell you something. He says, I had seen these things multiple times. I said multiple times. He says, yeah, but it was real quick, and it was in the corner of my eye. And I'm thinking, I was like, out in the woods? And he goes, no, in my house. And I'm like, okay, now this is where it gets really weird. Like I said, you've seen these things. Like, what do you mean by these things? What are you talking about? Okay. And he goes, what we're talking about, like the Bigfoot type creatures. I'm like, you saw Bigfoot in your house. Now, as odd as that may sound to people, that you get that quite a bit, right? Not nearly as much as I saw it on the side of the road or in the woods, but yeah, people do. So I was shocked though that this guy had, because I said, dude, so that right there, because we were talking and he hadn't elaborated on it. And his brother had said, hey, he's had some encounters, and he just kind of nonchalantly throws that out there. And I said, dude, so you were seeing them in your house? I said, so when you were a kid? He goes, no. He goes, I was a teenager. I wasn't a little kid. I was like 14 the first time I saw it. He goes, and I saw this thing standing in my parents' room, and there was like this green glow around it, right? And he goes, and I looked again, and it was gone, like double take, and boom, boom, it was gone. It was that quick. I said, did it look like the thing you saw on the side of the road? And he goes, this is his response. He was like, like he thought about it, and he goes, kinda. And I said, how kind of? He said, the face, the how big it wasn't as tall. He's like, and then I saw one, in my bathroom one time. I walked by and I see this furry type creature on all fours. And then he went on to start describing to me a wolf-like creature. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I told his brother, I said, this is Alex's brother, Mark. I said, Mark, that's not a Bigfoot. He goes, no, it was a furry type creature though. he said it was weird. It looked like a man with a wolf's head down on its hands and knees. This gets interesting, right? So at this point, you know, I'm still wondering what the hell it was that he saw. You know, what his brother saw with the bird head and all that. I'm like, what in the hell is this? When he began to describe to me the wolf-headed creature, he said it was all black, like a shadowy type being, and it wasn't a physical thing at all. And it looked sleek. And it didn't have like fur sticking out of it. It was black, and it had these big, tall, straight up ears. And so I told him, I said, dude, I sent him a link, and I said, open that link. And it went to the Egyptian deities. And he goes, oh my gosh, it looks like kind of what I saw. So I asked him, and I had to. I didn't at that point, and I had asked his brother, and I said, have you ever been to Egypt? He goes, no. I said, have you ever had anything to do with it at all? He goes, my ex-girlfriend. He's like, my ex-girlfriend. Her former boyfriend was Egyptian. And I said, wait, okay, hold on. Your ex-girlfriend, her former boyfriend was Egyptian. He goes, yeah. He goes, and when I was with her, a lot of weird stuff was happening. We saw some weird stuff together. He said, like, and I said, like what? He goes, just shadows and like smoke moving around and stuff like that. He goes, and he had told his wife about that smoke looking whatever. And she didn't even open up to him about what she saw as a child. She put it out of her mind. But here's the deal. That ex-boyfriend of hers that kept on harassing her, and yes, he was harassing her and him, left a dead bird in front of their apartment. At least he thinks that he did. It was unalived. And I asked him a question. Now, this is where you got to, and I'm not saying everybody's got to do this, but it helps to be a little bit of a sleuth. And I said, hey, did Alex, had he been there at that apartment? He goes, he lived with me. Right there. I had no idea what to think of at that point. I was like, I have no idea. I don't know what this is. Why would you see that? I have no idea. He wasn't giving me everything. But thank goodness that he turned me over to this couple, because they gave me the 411 on it. Then I told him, I said, okay, anything else you can remember? Anything at all? And he said one time we were driving, and when we got in the car, we heard what sounded like a weird, like a bird type noise. I said, really? Really? He said, yeah, it was weird. He's like, and then he's like, I talked to my ex-girlfriend. He goes, and she was telling me that this guy had tried to get her to read this book, and he couldn't remember the name of it. I want to go out on a limb and say it was Prodigies of Egypt, but it was a magic book that he studied from Egypt, but I don't know for sure. But he was involved in a lot of weird esoteric crap. And if you know anything about it, Egypt, people don't know anything other than the Giza pyramid and blah, blah, blah. You don't realize how much sorcery is going on over there in that country. You have no clue. It is freaking nuts, dude. I'm telling you, we've talked about it before on the show. Like, we talked about one episode was like a mummy. I mean, it's crazy, dude. Like, these people, they are doing this crap in these countries, you know, these third world countries are really just doing all of this. I wouldn't classify Egypt so much as just third world now, because of a non-aggression treaty between them and Israel. As long as they keep on leaving Israel alone, then this country will keep giving them like $1 billion a year or some crazy amount. Like, you know, it's crazy, the money we give them, like 800 million or something. So because of a non-aggression treaty, that's the truth. You know, as long as they behave and they don't try to bomb Israel into the next life or whatever, and leave them alone, and we don't have to go over there and do whatever. That's how this country looks at it. We pay them. So we buy their cotton, which is just as good as ours, and we buy their couscous and other crap. Sometimes we label it, they label it as Israeli couscous, but it's really Egyptian. Sometimes it is from Israel. It depends. It's one of the few things that they export. But the Egyptians, so far it's worked. They've been nice, and they're not doing anything. But I don't believe that our tax dollars should be going to that. I don't think our tax dollars should be going to a war in Europe either, or to anywhere. you know, other than like a one-time thing every now and then, you know. Why are we getting fleeced for all this crap to help police the entire universe? It's not correct. It's not. I think NATO is a bunch of shit. We don't need to be in it. I don't think any of this is, because when it comes down to it, they're going to get punched aside and they're not going to do anything anyway. They'll be scared of China and Russia and they're not going to do nothing. That sounds really stupid. They're not going to do nothing. So they're going to do something. I said nothing. Yeah, but when you say not in front of it, that means you're going to do something. I don't know what you're talking about. Something, nothing. They're not going to do it. Stop arguing with yourself, boy. You're looking crazy. So, yeah. So that's what's happening. So we started talking, and I said, man, you don't realize what the heck you're messing with. I said, dude, so this guy was doing sorcery, and your ex-girlfriend. So I asked a favor of his wife, and his ex-girlfriend's already remarried, right? I said, would it be okay if I talk to them? Can you get me in touch? And then I told her, I said, I don't want to interfere in your marriage, whatever, but if y'all could maybe let him and her talk together on the phone. And she's like, sure, I don't care. It's a very, very, very nice woman. She was not like all insecure, like, hell no, some other B word's going to be talking to my man that he used to do things with. I'm going to slap her with a shoe. She didn't do all that. She's just like, go ahead, do what you got to do. And so I talked to them together on the phone. And apparently they're still friends. They're not like, they don't hate each other. They're like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. They just kind of drifted apart. And in a large part of it, after talking to them, it really, I don't know if they realized it because they're both in their own lives now and they have children and stuff like that. So they're not really, you know, they don't have feelings for each other, you know, nothing like that. I mean, they probably did strongly at one time, but you could tell it was just amicable and mutual. And I was thinking to myself, these people that did this to him, well, this guy that did this to them, he just wore them down. He wasted a good year of his life just harassing this girl and this guy. And I hazard to guess he was probably Temple of Set. It's probably one of those dickheads. So I think that, you know, what they do and what you know is they do this kind of stuff to people. And yeah, it says the Islamic world has that's a good comment there from V. The Islamic world has a long history. I'm sorry, this fan is burning my eyes, man. Oh my gosh. It says the Islamic world has a long history of esoteric belief. They have it in the Hadiths. Yeah. A number of grimoires are written in Arabic and translated to become the basis for Western occult. Yeah. Not the least of which is the Son of Gnosis, the Prodigies of Egypt, and of course, I'm not going to say the word. I'm just going to say Shem. That's it. I'm not going to say the whole whatever. I don't understand. What is this? Yeah, I don't agree with that, though, Thor Wolf. He says what we were talking about earlier, it's an excuse for America to keep vassal states. Those aren't vassal states, man. That's just us, like, doing stuff that doesn't benefit us because, you know, I'm not even going to get into it. I could give a whole dissertation on why we should keep our, you know, it's amazing that as a country, we're up in everybody's business. And then, you know, and stuff that doesn't really affect us, we make it a part of our lives. It really isn't, though. There's no strategic value in it at all. But then, you know, as a people individually, we don't give a crap. And people, you know, we'll sit there and just look at our phones. Not me, but the average person looks at their phone while somebody dies in front of them. Yeah, West Germany was made as a vassal state, but the entire German country was made into a vassal state. And they were controlled, you know. That was the whole point of it. I mean, a lot of those countries, I get what you're saying, but I'm not talking about the Middle East. There's no point to that. There's none. I mean, it's not really a strategic thing. You know, there's not some imperialist global power that's buddying up with them and compromising us. Not really. I mean, because of Islam. If Islam didn't exist, you know, because it does have its uses, If Islam didn't exist, you would have a lot more problems out of those countries because they would be at risk of being turned over to communism. But their fanaticism about a religion keeps communism at bay. I'm not joking. You know, I don't believe in Islam. I do believe just like the Bible, it has a lot of important things. I would never put my hand on the Quran or the Bible or any other holy book and swear up and down on it because I don't believe that that's correct. I think that there's a lot of knowledge there, and there is a lot of energy there that you could really mess yourself up. I'm not joking. I mean, there's deities that were used to being worshipped, you know, in some of these religions, and they were real. They were real. That doesn't mean that people are like, oh, those are false gods. It didn't mean they didn't exist. They were just not the most high. There were thousands of gods that really existed. Does that mean we should go worship their ass? No, excuse me for saying that. But no, not at all. Thorwolf, interesting comment. But it's YouTube, so I'm going to say this. I know that they existed. They really did. These beings probably still do. They're probably still around. They're probably lurking around all the time. There's all kinds of stuff out there. Entities are around us all the time. This is like the ocean. If you were like in the ocean, you'd be like, oh, we're playing, ha, 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 ha. Even though there's sharks like 5 feet away from you. Scary, right? I just don't know why you would do it. I was watching my friends' Expanded Perspective, Cameron and Kyle, the other day. And I was trying to watch the Mothman episode, but I was in so much pain I couldn't even focus on it. But yeah, it was a good show as always. And I don't get to watch them very often, but I went ahead and shout out to those guys. I watched that particular episode and I was like, damn, dude, you had a good point. You're skiing down a mountain. If you just knew it was covered in bears, would you go do it? And Cameron told Kyle that, and Kyle's like, no. But people still go play in the ocean. I'm like, yeah. He goes, you don't have to. But people love it. They love to go in the ocean and do that when really you don't have to take those kind of risks. You can go to the beach and just be there. You don't have to go into the water and go all deep into the water. But most shark attacks happen in 3 feet of water, 2 to 3 feet of water. That's not very high. And a simple reason for that is because the ocean is loaded with sharks. It really is. It's full of sharks. And then that's where most people go in the beach is in the shallows. So of course, that's where most of the shark attacks are going to happen because there's not that many people just jumping into 1,000 foot deep of water. They're like, most of the shark attacks happen in deep water. Why the hell is that? Everybody's driving their boat out there and jumping in the water? What? I thought they were on the shore. Nope. In fact, they're driving helicopters. They're driving them. They're driving them? Yeah, they're driving them. They don't fly them. They drive them out there, and then everybody just jumps in the water in a wetsuit from 50 feet up. That's the new thing. The new thing? It's been around a long time. It happens all the time, and people are getting devoured. In fact, a lot of people just jump in, and there's a shark just waiting there, and they just go into its mouth, and it just goes and swims away. That's what happens. Well, some people would imagine that's what's happening, but then let's look at it from both perspectives. It does happen. It happens quite a bit. Look up the numbers. People are like, they're not going to hurt you. They're as afraid of you as you are of them. Bullshit. I promise you they're not. I promise you. I swear to you. If you thrash around and throw punches at them, they'll run away. First of all, they don't run. Second of all, because I had somebody tell me that. Right there at South Padre. He's like, they'll run away. I said, I'm not going to take my chances on that. He literally gave me that advice. He's trying to get me killed, I guess. Maybe he didn't like me. Maybe my head was too big. I don't know what he was doing. But he told me, he said, yeah, they'll just thrash around. They'll leave. Because most of them sharks, they'll just flee. We ain't got no great whites in those waters. Literally, the girl used to date my nephew told us that she saw one with 2 friends or 3 friends. So let me tell you something. That was near Port Isabel. I can tell you this. That's bullcrap. Bullcrap. I'll never forget one time when I was a kid, we were riding over the bridge from Port Isabel to Padre, South Padre. And I saw one of these white birds. I don't know what it was. I think it was like an egret type bird or whatever. But I was a kid, and I just remember this white bird being there, and I see this commotion, and I see it go under. And then I see like this like kind of fin come up and go down. And I was like, and I was looking out over the water, and I was like, I think I just saw a shark or something attack that one of those birds. And my dad's like, oh, don't start getting all scared now. And I'm like, no, I saw. And my dad's like, shut up. And I'm like, you got to scare your sister. They should already be scared. They're older than me. They should know better. Why are we doing this? Because we want to have a good time. Getting eaten by sharks is the highest level of entertainment that you could possibly, Just ask the people that have been eaten by them. I'm going to pull out my Ouija board at the hotel and I'll see what I can come up with. Okay. Don't be a smart ass. The world hates a smart ass. They like dumbasses. They can control it. But anyway, I digress. The point is, we have a situation that's going on where there is a guy who had stalked his ex-girlfriend, and he was Egyptian. He worked as a mechanic, a diesel mechanic. And so he was very, into this whatever, and he had been fired at one job, and finally he ended up working like at Walmart or some crap, changing oil, because he couldn't get along with people. He had a bad attitude, and he was like, and he wasn't Islamic. He had totally rejected that. He was like, I'm not doing that. That was his attitude. That's what she said. She was like, no, he didn't want to do that. She was like, he was into magic. And the Quran strictly forbids it, just like the Bible, both books, old and new. But guess what? This guy, he was like, I'm doing this. We're doing it. I'm doing it. You leave me, I kill you. I blow you. And apologies, I have Egyptian friends. I have a guy from Egypt that works for me. I have a friend that used to live next door to me for like 10 years. The whole time I was living down South Austin. Good people, nice people. I'm not making fun of y'all. I'm talking about this idiot, though. He was an idiot. He was a real idiot. So when they were together, he did a ritual with some friends. And she said they looked like a bunch of goth morons. But she said, I didn't realize that they really did something. She goes, I come home and one of his friends is with this girl. It's in like this, she's half naked. She goes, I was highly offended. This girl was in my house. And I said, what, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And he's like, don't be bitch. Like he tells her that. He goes, these are friends. And so apparently there was some sort of like magic ritual that he says he didn't do the act or whatever, but she was there to do it with these people. And she was, some scantily clad girl who was a stripper, and they had got her to come there and do this crazy stuff. And he was like, okay, yeah, this is the way you do this. And then there was a bunch of weird stuff that happened in her house. Not the least of which was this weird appearance of this creature that looked like Anubis. And I told the dude, I said, here's the weird part, though. This guy, Mark, Alex's brother, he saw that creature when he was like a teenager living with his parents. But I said, how old are you? He goes, 18. I said, you were 18. When did you get with her? He said, 18. I said, oh, okay. So it happened after y'all were dating. He goes, no. It was 2 months before. But I said, did you know her? He says, yeah, I knew her. So what we have here is the possibility that this guy knew this was coming. One of these demons that he's fooling around with told him, possibly. I mean, I'm being honest here. And he was aware that this was happening. There was an amorous situation, and he was already working on it. And some of these beings are able to move back and forth, through reality. Like, it's crazy. I like the Gospel of Thomas too. It's more, it is pretty. But once again, it's one of the books that's been taken out, Very well could be. Good point there. And what is this? West NYC. Anubis was a Nephilim hybrid demigod. Dogman. Yeah. Yeah, probably. But when you stop and you look at this the situation and you break it down, he said, "How could this guy have that kind of power?" I said, "He doesn't. He doesn't. That's the catch. This dude is full of shit. He just was conjuring stuff up, and he was kind of like throwing shit on a wall and see what sticks. That's what they do. He's probably in there just blaspheming away because he doesn't know anything. Like, you know, and they always attack Jesus. They're like, Jesus, because the demons, that parasites that are crawling on them are hating Jesus. They're like, Jesus is your enemy. That's what they're telling them, you know. So they don't like him, so you're not supposed to like him. Somebody asked me one day, they were kind of being a smart ass, and we were at like a little get together, a little party, whatever. My family's, and this one girl was there. She was my cousin's girlfriend at the time. Luckily, didn't date her for very long, because when she saw this right here, oh no, I'm sorry, it wasn't this. It was another one. It was a pendant. It was a cross. And I told her, you know, that I wanted to get, you know, one of these. I'd already been talking about it, whatever. But he brought her to like Christmas, or I can't remember if it was Thanksgiving or Christmas. And she was just over there on the phone smoking cigarettes the whole time. She was weird. And she said something to me when I walked out to my truck. She was out there on the phone talking to another dude. I don't know. I told my cousin about it. So I was like, I don't like that person. She's weird. But not my business, but still, you know, I mean, tell somebody because something weird's going on, you know, but then they'll end up, no, you're the bad guy, you know, but this is my cousin. So I said, hey, you know, do what you want. Turned out my assumptions were partially correct. At least, you know, that's what he said. So she like asked me why I had to wear such a big authoritative symbol on my neck. And I looked at it, I said, a cross? And she's like, well, yeah, it's just real, it's kind of obnoxious. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's obnoxious. I saw the tattoo on her leg. It was a pentagram. And I was like, oh, okay. Cool. Well, you're wearing yours and I wear mine. How about that? She's like, you know, and then later she's like, well, we were talking about tattoos or whatever. And she was showing off her occultic symbol tattoo, you know, all over her legs. And I was sitting there just kind of like, this person was disgusting me. And she started talking. Somebody told her about my show, and I was like, don't do that. Don't do that. I don't need another troll. And she was like, oh, you have a show about the paranormal? I was like, oh, yeah, I do. Sucks. You know, wouldn't be your type of thing. I'm sure of it. She's like, no, I'm really into that kind of thing. Yeah. No, I want to go check it out. I'll watch it. I was like, yeah, it's just a small, you know, she looks it up. She's like 30,000 people. I'm like, those numbers. What are numbers, right? I'm trying to discourage this woman. I'm like, you don't want to do that. My voice is obnoxious. You know, I talk about Christ. It wouldn't be your cup of tea. And I was right about that. She flipped a little shitty comment on one of my episodes. Anthony, I believe it was him or Tony, one of them caught it and said, well, there you go. And it was her. I look at the name. I'm not going to put her on blast, but, you know, anyways, she was like, you know, made some comment. Oh, you just talk too much God and Jesus talk on here, or God, Jesus talk. She said. And I said, well, the universe is about those things. Dark, light, you know, angels, you know, demons, whatever. The whole world is full of all that. All right, got a message from the other candidate. Both candidates have messaged me today to let them know that they need my support. Aren't I the important one, right? I'm like, hey, I get messages from Kamala and Trump. Do you? They're like, yes, we get them all the time. Just walk off all quiet. Hit their mirror, break it. Because you thought you were the only one. You're like, I thought they wanted my vote. I'm not going to know them personally ever. You know what that's like? Yeah, most people do. It's funny when somebody says that. Do you know what that's like? Yeah. Like, no, you don't. You don't know what it's like. I've been a man my whole life. You were born a man? Yes. You were born a baby and you grew into a man. Whatever. You don't know how miserable I've been. Exactly. You just judged me right now. You just assigned my gender to me. I said, whatever, man. You just called me a man. Well, you are. Not anymore. I decided right now, today, just a minute ago, that I'm done being a man. Started going to women's restrooms and, you know, ketchup on napkins and throwing it in there and walking out, you know, whatever. That's what I do. That's what I'm doing now. That's how I roll. That's crazy. So what we're dealing with, though, I believe, was a person that was he had the retardation, you know, and he was going and doing these ridiculous things. I can't really figure out exactly, you know, because I don't know the whole scope of it, but I think he was really, you know, like he was doing something to this guy before they even got together because they knew each other, and she, you know. So I asked this question. I said, "Did you make your feelings known to anybody?" No. She's like, "No, we were just talking." I said, "Oh, you were talking, and he knew it?" And she said, "Yeah, he knew." Like, I think so. I said, "There you go." It's pretty simple. It was not, you know, he didn't have to travel through space and time and go back in time. I mean, there was already this, you know. He, on the other hand, thought they were just friends and was like, "She's really hot." That's what he, you know, he told me in private, but now I'm saying it here. So, Lacey, I'm joking. I'm kidding. I'm not going to tell your wife. I just did. No, she knows. She already knows. But he said it right there. He goes, "Well, I thought she was hot." You know, it's the same way I got with my current wife. And I could hear her and the other woman on the phone giggle, kind of laugh, like, "Oh well." And I said, "Well, not bad for a fat nerd, right? The fat nerds be getting around, dude." Um, but he's like, "Yeah, I thought she was really hot. I thought she was out of my league." But she started liking me because I was talking to her all the time, and he found out. He was 22 and she was 18. But this guy, Alejandro's brother, Mark, he was 18 and she was 18. So they were high school sweethearts. They were seniors. And they became good friends. They worked on the school paper together, and that's how they started their whatever. And so she had a bad home life, whatever. And so she ended up moving out when she was 17. And it's really funny because I did that too. I moved out when I was 17, but I moved out when I was younger, and then I went back and then back and went back. But I moved out and got with somebody when I was 17, and she was like quite a bit older than me, like several years older than me. But you know, when you look at this girl situation, this dude, he was into manipulation and control, and he wanted to have her, you know, and he was willing to do whatever. And so when she finally left this bum, like that's when it really ramped up. There was all this stuff that started happening, and she was living at home with her her mother, not her dad, but she was living with her mother at that time, and weird stuff was happening. She was outside with her mother. Her mother was smoking a cigarette, and right by a tree, they heard this weird, because here in Texas we have cicadas, but it sounded like a cicada, but it sounded like a person trying to imitate one. And she was like, it was already like early fall. There were no more cicadas, but she was like, it was weird. It was still happening. And she was like, it was nuts. And she's like, and then we heard this click, 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 clicking noise. And she started having weird dreams. She got grabbed by her ankles and pulled almost off of the bed. She woke up on the floor one day, and she said it was happening in my mom's house. My mother was Roman Catholic. She went and got a priest. They couldn't really get rid of whatever it was. And so it just kept on happening. She's like, one day I went outside to go visit, you know, Mark, and we were dating at that time. And she's like, and there's something crawled out from underneath my car. I said, well, maybe it was Mark. She goes, well, it did have a humanoid type shape. I couldn't see what it was. It was so fast. She's like, but it was low crawling, and it was underneath my car, and it just took off. And so she said that it was a weird entity looking thing. That's what she described it as. That it was sprawled out, and she said it was pretty wide. Like when she saw it go scattering and then go into the neighbor's yard, it disappeared into the ground. She goes, but it was like, it looked physical. And she said it was pretty wide. It was about the width of the car. So thank goodness that she was able to actually see this. So she was able to actually see this creature. And she was like, I don't know what it was. But I asked her, I said, have you ever had any other encounters since then, since after you and Mark separated? She goes, yeah, I have. And she goes, it's still happening to this day. One day, get this. See, I had no idea what was going on. I could not figure out why he would be seeing thought. Why? I had no clue. I was like, I have no idea. I had some idea, but not, no way. She found, this was recently, I'd say recently, it was 2019, but she found this scarab, this green scarab. It wasn't like a three-dimensional. It was like a flat, like, something you wear, but it was like it had been broken off and it had been stuck in her jacket pocket. And she was going through old clothes, right? And she went through and she felt something, like, I think she said she heard something rattling in there and she felt for it. And there it was. This green scarab looking thing about the size of a quarter. I told her, I said, in Egyptian magic, that's a very prominent symbol. It's a she didn't have a picture of it or anything. She threw it out. Thank goodness. But she could have taken a picture of it. I wish she would have. Hold on 1 second. I can't get up to turn this fan off. And lucky for you, I gotta take a bathroom break, but I can't. It'd be so hard to get up and then come back and get back in here. So I'm just gonna have to deal with it, I guess. But she had this crazy situation going on in her house after her and Mark had separated, and it was like 2 years, and then she got with another. That sun god, though, I don't remember that. Like, it's not on the list of the other Egyptian gods until recently. We talked about that on the show. And I don't remember that being ever at all. I remember the scarab being like part of their ritual, ceremonial magic and things like that. But not, like I've read that before. I don't remember that sun god. I don't. And we talked about it the other day, and a lot of people don't remember. It's like a Mandela effect. And the pyramids, I don't remember there being two side by side like that. I don't remember that. Khepri, that's it. That's the name of it. And so, thank you for that. What does it say? Made Maverick. What is that? Maverick? I can't say whatever that is. But thank you for that, giving us that information. Thank you for those who've donated. I'll be giving you a shout out at the end of the show. And so we had this whole discussion with these people, and I did, and I was like, "What's going on with this? Did you see these scarabs?" And she said, "Yes, I did. One day I thought I was on drugs." I said, Did you ever do them?" She goes, "I smoke pot." I said, "I gotta go." I hung up. I'm like, "I don't hang out with potheads. I'm good. I'm done." So I didn't get the rest of the information because I just couldn't talk to them anymore. Lying pothead hippies. Move along. Get to stepping. All right. I only talk to people who smoke pot and then go researching for Bigfoot. That's it. And Dogman and ghosts. So, and UFOs. And good deals at Walmart. Here's the thing. When you talk to these people, they are literally trying to come up with answers themselves. And she was like, "I'm so glad we had this conversation. I'm so glad we called," and blah, blah, blah. And so I told her, I said, "Did you ever go back to Egypt with him?" She said, "No, but he wanted me to." I said, "Yeah, you would never come back. You'd still be there, or you'd be gone." She's like, "Yeah, I kind of, yeah." She's like, "Yeah, my stepdad said that." I said, "No, your stepdad's smart. He knows." She's like, "He wanted me to go. My stepdad stepped in." And that's funny. Stepdad stepped in and did what stepdad was supposed to do and told him to F off. And then threatened to beat his little ass because he wasn't a very big guy. It's probably why. He's a little wiener head. And so he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do magic. I'm going to get you because I got no power otherwise. You know, I can control a woman, but that's it. Yeah, tiny, the skinny arms, but I'm wiry. No, you're not. You're just a little punk. But so this guy, he was doing this crap. And one day she opened up a box of cereal. Now, this part was really interesting when she started talking about it. I said, I started imagining, I really did. I got it right. And I thought she's going to pour it in the bowl. And there's going to be these little, whatever, scarabs or whatever, beetles. And she said, yeah, you know, because I said, let me guess, when you opened it up, you put your hand in there or you dumped it in the bowl and you had some surprise. And she said, yeah. And I said, it was beetles. She goes, maggots. I'm like, what? She goes, no, it was like maggots. She's like, and so I just threw it down. I was like, oh, what the hell? And I looked down in the bowl and there was no maggots. It was just a beetle crawling out of it, going into the drain of the sink, into the what do you call it? The, oh gosh, got on tip of my tongue here. The thing that garbage disposal. She says it crawls down the drain, and she goes, and then I turned on the disposal, and there it goes. It was. I said, "Did you hear it crunch anything or whatever?" She's like, "It was a pretty big bug the way she described it." And she's like, "I thought I was losing my mind." She goes, and then this is going to sound gross, but another time she goes, I began to cough, and she's like, and I coughed up one of these bugs, and I was like, "Holy crap!" She's like, "It wasn't moving; it was dead, obviously." She goes, I just felt something in the back of my throat and I coughed. I was like, wow. So I told Alex, I said, there you go. That's why you were seeing those things. You know, I told him. When he took that bird, whatever it was, and he left it at your doorstep, I said, he put an attachment on you. Now, you remember when we were talking last Sunday, I believe I talked about Alex not being very religious or whatever. Like he became more religious. And he asked me a lot of questions about it. And I said, you and your brother were both not very religious. And you were highly susceptible to this type of magic. And this guy knew what he was doing, at least that far, to curse people because he knew that y'all were easy targets. You don't believe in anything. You didn't. He said his brother was more of a believer than him. And I said, well, your brother told me he wasn't either. But that's pretty bad because his brother didn't believe in anything. He was more of like a nerd that just played, video games and whatever. And so when you stop and you start looking at this situation, look at it for what it is. You have the angry ex-boyfriend who did all that. That's obvious what happened. And both brothers couldn't really figure it out. I mean, it's like, dude, they don't think it's going to mess with them. And I'm like, you don't think that it could have messed with you? You were in the same house or apartment? And Alex is like, well, I remember the whole whatever. He goes, but I didn't know all of her encounters or what was happening to her. I didn't really pay attention. Right? And so anyway, he had this Dogman experience and he said, could that account for the Dogman that I saw? Because he started calling it Dogman because I said that. And I was like, well, the werewolf type creature, whatever. And I said, let me tell you something. Dogman, werewolf, whatever, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is you did, I believe, in my humble opinion, see that absolutely because that's why. That creature was attached to whatever the hell it was that you were, that was all this stuff that was happening. That's why. He goes, but why did it attack me at a wedding up in Denton? I said, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Once it's there, it's there. He said, I've had nightmares for years, so that's probably why. And they both told me that they had nightmares where they were like in a desert. I'm like, yeah. This guy really put the whammy on him. And folks, I'm going to tell you something. If you are out there just floating in the ocean, I don't know. Was that how it would be if you were in the ocean? I don't know. But anyway, if you were just out there like floating in the ocean, which I don't recommend, because 10,000 people a day are getting eaten by sharks. Or the sharks will put a tracker on them and come to their house and whack them. True. So if you don't want that shark attack, well, you better get right. You better get right with God. So one of the things that I remember talking about years ago was about these creatures that were like sharks, that there were shapeshifters of people. So that's something that's not out of the realm of possibility. The Hawaiians are staunch believers in that. And believe me, there's some scary freaking stories around that stuff. So I did a show on it, but that was a while back. Here's the thing. Do I believe what he told me? Yeah, I do. I believe all of them. I believe that they saw what they saw. Now, why did they see the Bigfoot? That it was transparent? I don't know. Why was he seeing it when he was a kid? That could have been something because it predated this Dogman encounter, if that's what it was. And it predated the, could have been a ghost. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Ghost of Bigfoot. We've had all kinds of theories about it. I mean, that's just as sane as anything else. So when you stop and you start breaking all this down and you start looking at this, then you start saying, okay, now here's the rub. Go back into your past and look at who you've dated. Not only that, but look at who they've dated. Because there could be the key to all of this. And he was like, yeah, he goes, I never really put two and two together. He goes, I knew that she was being messed with by him, stalking and all that. He goes, but I didn't think that would be what caused me to see, because I didn't see what she was seeing. He's like, and then when Alex and them told me about this bird-like entity, it wasn't until I said, hey, the Ibis. And he's like, what is that? And I said, well, that's the deity. That's the head of that, the thought. He didn't even know what that was. A thought to that generation is something else. It's TH, whatever. So, yeah, Peace Frog has a very good point. That is a very interesting thing. He says, look up what great whites look like below looking up. They look like the devil. Like the devil, you know what I mean? Yeah, Amy Creel, I think it did for everybody. When you stop and you really put two and two together and you start going down that rabbit hole, you have to figure it out. I became a little bit, I wasn't obsessed, but I was spending some time on this because I wanted to figure it out for my own sanity. Because it was driving me nuts. I was like driving around one day and I went to Juice Land. There's this place I like to go to. And I was just in my head. And I just was standing there waiting for my drink. And I was like, it just pops into my head. I'm like, why would he see that? Why are these other people seeing these things? But at least for that one, I figured out what I think was going on. I do. Now, as far as she knows, she hasn't heard from this guy in years or talked to him or whatever. And she's like, he's probably terrorizing some other poor girl. And I'm like, that's crazy. But probably correct. It's horrible. But and the sad thing is, his parents were very devout. They were into Islam, whatever. But they were very they kicked him out of the house because of the crap he was doing. Because of his crap. But she didn't really talk to her ex, Alex. She had no reason to talk to him. And so, Alex, when Alex told, his brother about this, he didn't say, they thought Lechusa, being of Hispanic descent. He didn't say, hey, this thing looked like I saw, the Ibis. No, he didn't say that. Of course he didn't, because he didn't know what the hell that was. He just thought I saw a bird-like creature. When he first described it to me, I'm like, I got nothing. It sounds like a harpy. Then it was like, oh, it could have been. And I'm like, oh, occult. You look at it, this creature you described in Ibis, and that thought. But why him? Why these beings? Why do they look like that? Well, there was a bird that was dropped at their doorstep. He's like, well, I remember when that happened. I thought nothing of it. My brother made a big deal out of it at first. or his girlfriend did anyway. He's like, and I was just like, I halfway paid attention, and my brother never said anything else about it. And then when I talked to Mark, his brother was like, yeah, I remember that too. And I just thought maybe she was overreacting. It was just a bird. And she was like, no, he does all this magic and stuff. And he was just like, well, you know. Now we know. Because I had no clue. No clue, except a bunch of clues. I did. And I solved this problem with thinking. You're welcome. Day and night I toil, saving the world, and get very little recognition. What dark water? What does he have to do with anything? Oh, somebody said they were scared of him. And then Evan says nobody's afraid of him here. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't care. What's up, man? Starscream's in the house. See it? But you're going to your whatever. Something about sharks. Yeah, there's something about sharks. They can eat you. Or they can tear off your leg, which with the pain that I'm going through with my legs might be preferable. At least I could just, not have to. I'm just kidding, folks. I don't want to lose my leg. But oh, maybe he actually meant dark water. Scares me. Yeah, I don't know. But so anyway, I don't want to mention people's names. I don't want to think about these people, But there's this whole, he's going to probably be like, oh, they mentioned my name again. Ain't nobody give a damn about all that, dude. Just whatever. He's happy today. He's a Saints fan, so he's probably they're like jumping around happy. Stupid Cowboys, embarrassing. Well, the honeymoon's over, Mike Zimmer. Figure it out. Overshawn's not in there till I don't even want to get into it. It's just annoying. This made my pain worse. I'm kidding. It didn't even. Sports I don't give a damn about that. That's just an entertainment thing. It's just there in the background. I had things I had to do today on the phone and looking stuff up and all this. But it's not, a big part of my life. It's there and then it's gone. Like I root for Texas. I'm glad that they're doing great, I don't root for A&M anymore because there's too many dickheads that do. So I don't do that. I'm done. I like the team. I like the school. I do. I would root for them in the SEC. But their fans are just obnoxious. And then they talk about UT fans. UT fans are pretty laid back, dude. Cowboys fans can be really obnoxious. Not mentioning any names, but one of my friends, they won one game. They beat Cleveland last week. And he's like, Cowboys are rolling. And I'm like, he's like, this could be the year we go to the Super Bowl. I'm like, what? That's exactly why nobody likes us. Right there. That and jealousy, and be honest. But I said, dude, one game? They won one game and they're going to the Super Bowl, dude? Come on. It's ridiculous. I couldn't handle that. I just, whatever. I can't stand that because that's what people key in on. You could be the best in the world at whatever you're doing, and then you say one thing that they don't agree with, and you're a piece of shit. And they'll tell you too, yeah, piece of shit. Why? You said that. I like the color blue. I was the blood. Really? Because you look like a soccer mom. We had our own game. The Southside Soccer Mom Bloods. Don't make me look up, bitch. I'm like, oh, okay, calm down. I like the show. You said you like blue. Now I'm done. I kill you. You die. You go to hell and you die. Sorry. Jeez. These fake people. Literally, that's a fake person. I just made that up. But yeah, so you're sitting here and you're thinking, man, Exactly, Isaac. Give them bread and circuses, and they will never revolt. They'll just go to the slaughter and be okay with it. Well, I'm glad for that, Steve. Steve says, enjoying Wolf once again. Thank you. Steve Dutcher, thank you. Under Fire, what's up, Sean? How you doing? I was on the show with you last night. But stop. Somebody said the South Park references. What is that? Which one did I do? I don't remember doing them. Did I do one earlier? I don't remember. But you go to hell and you die. Yeah, you go to hell. Mr. Garrison, you go to hell and you die. So what do you think, folks? So let me take some questions from the audience now. I mean, before I get out of here, let's talk. I mean, what do you guys think of this? Have you guys heard of anything like this? Have you had any? Somebody says more vampire encounters. I have some, but I got to flesh them out. And then there's one that I kind of had to backtrack on. Nothing I've told before. But I think somebody tried to get one over on me, and that's real cute because they gave me a story. Get this. I'm not even going to get into it, but I'm not going to say, because this person, I don't know. I haven't even confronted them about it, and I'm not going to. I'm just going to say it right here. If they watch the show, I don't believe you. Why do you not believe me? Because I literally was given that same encounter by somebody like who was on another show. And you had the exact same thing happen. That's the kind of stuff you got to be careful for. And get up there and make me look like a fool. That's what you want to do. That's what they're trying to do. So yeah, be careful. Some of these emails, I'm looking at them and going like, is this a real person? Because I got to be really careful because people are like, oh, we got over on him, whatever. They think it's cute and waste my time. But yeah, it's somebody, one of them that was defending the king of the LBL over there. And he was all, yeah, I managed to I gave him a fake story. And then he made up some other crap. I said that we talked or we didn't or some crap. I was like, dude, I promise you, if we didn't talk, I didn't say we did, you liar. And that reflects on you more than it does me. So you think that you're, somebody special because you lied. So it's on you. And then you said, I talked to you, and I said, and then we didn't. Never happens. That does not happen, dude. No, sir. You're a liar. So I'd like to see you post that, whatever that was that we talked about. So I can break you down because you wouldn't come up with it. Know that. They have all this proof and stuff, and there's no proof. There's just a bunch of bullshit. But that's the thing. Whenever you look at these situations, you have sometimes and this is the biggest problem I have with this field. They'll do these machine gun encounters, 6 stories and blah, blah, blah. You got 6 stories and that's it? Did you go into depth on any of them or you just gave some little spooky crap? Because if the people that are researching this would really do their due diligence and they would do what we do and what some of the other people in this field are doing, and they're doing it now because they got to keep up. But you weren't before. Before me, you weren't doing it. No, you weren't. You were not. You say, oh, yeah, now I am. Yeah, I'm doing now. Yeah, sure you are. You say you are. And then they lie. They said, yeah, I started doing this back in 1962. You weren't born until 1985. Yeah, I did it pre-womb. Yeah, I was just a spirit. I was roaming around I was a ghost. Wow, geez. You're really a go-getter. You were doing this before you were born. Yeah, I created a club about it too. It's called the Brotherhood of the Porcupines. And there was 14,000 of us. Jeez, a lot of people. Yeah, can you produce one? No, they're all super secret. They don't want to know. They don't want to be involved. They wouldn't talk to you. They won't talk to you. Jeez. Literally, there's people that are almost not like that bad, but they're pretty bad. And they'll test you, and they'll see what they can get over on, and they can see how stupid you are. Look, I just painted Dobie the house elf. This is exactly what I saw. That's Harry Potter. Yeah, I know. It's my favorite movie. I saw that. My favorite movie, Harry Potter. Can I go on your show? No. UPOS. I advocate castration. Double castration. How dare you? Yeah. Camera's going in and out of a big fat face. That's who they are. Maniacs. Pissed off because you don't believe their bullshit. So it comes with the territory. If you have not been bitched out in an email or told what a piece of crap you are yet, then you're not doing your job, or whatever it is you're trying to do. If everything is just happy and good and it's all fun, whatever, and you haven't pissed anybody off, then you're not doing any real work. I stand by that. That means that everybody's okay with you. So you're not doing anything that could be misconstrued as a little controversial. Because once you get into that, that's what's going to happen. People are going to come after you and they're going to be like, oh, that guy, he pissed me off. Why? He took a stand on an opinion about something. What was it? Something dark side. He's satanic. Well, they're like, I'm Satanist myself. And they're like, oh, I mean, he's a Christian. Oh, okay. I used to be one. Well, he's Muslim. He's whatever you hate, he's that. Well, I hate communists. He's a communist. I heard him say it. I did. Yes, I did. Let me go post that. We heard him say he's a communist. And I have the proof. First question on there, where's the proof? Stop hating. Kick them off. It's just the truth. And they're like, I hate that guy. Hate him. Hate him with all my heart. Hate him with all the guts in the world. Hate that dude. What do he do to you? Nothing. I mean, everything. Ruined my life. I stomped off of a set and, well, now I'm blaming him. Was he there? No. Did you know about it? I think so. What do you have to do with it? Everything. He's responsible for all the death and violence in the world. Really? He's the devil. He's the super devil. In fact, the devil answers to him. And it's why? Because you say that Bigfoot, people see it and that it was transparent. No. You can't do that. Or you're retelling people's encounters and you're going down the rabbit hole and you're getting all weird with Dogman. And you're like confused. You're like, isn't Dogman already weird? And they're like, nah. Nope. Dogman. No, it's totally normal. It's a totally normal thing to leave your house, going to Walmart or Target or whatever you're going to, shopping for your delicious groceries, whatever. And hey, look, this guy with a wolf's head. Your wife's like, hey, it's third one this week. It's becoming really popular. Yeah, it is. Maybe we should try it. Let's go to Costco and see if we can find a wolf's head to wear on our head. And you're like, you're turning it into weird. I like this other guy. Let's make cryptids normal again. Literally, somebody posted that. I'm not even going to say who because I don't want to give him any press. On another dumbass's page. Let me tell you something. When the hell were these things normal? Okay? Because I wouldn't be into this if they were. He literally said that. He's another podcaster, YouTube. Right? He said this was normal. I'm like, what are you talking about? Stop screaming. I went drinking with Dogman. Went down to... It's perfect. Yeah, exactly. When the hell was this normal? I mean, it's a weird subject. And then people go out and they just go off the rails with it. I get that. Like I did a show one time where I made fun of a couple people in a group. I'm in a lot of groups and I had get stories and stuff out of there. I'm not going to lie. I've plundered a lot of stories out of there. But let me say something. This was ridiculous. There's a war in Ukraine, when the war kicked off, and they were like, I'm worried about the Bigfoot population there. I'm not just going to say that, there's other things to worry about. People are dying by the droves on both sides, and you're worried about the Bigfoot population. And I should have more restraint, and I should have not fallen into that. But in my defense, I was talking to Lyle about it, and we were driving, and I said, hey, what would you have done? He's like, man, oh man. He goes, I like to stay out of stuff, but that would have been tempting just to say something, He goes, I have to stay off of there because I just, I get it. So I asked a colleague, like, what would you do? Would you, I asked a few people. So what would you do? Right? I mean, definitely don't go start anything with them, but I said something. And it ended up with my removal from the group. And I'm like, really? Really? I get removed from the group because, which I don't give a damn about that group. There's like 4,000 people in there or something. And I'm like, okay, I get removed from a group because this person was an ignoramus and they basically just said that I'm like, so I did a little skit about it on the show, and I was like, schools, hospitals, okay, but Bigfoot, no, we draw a line at Bigfoot. We no kill Bigfoot. We must save Bigfoot. So you have this whole like ridiculousness going on with these people because they're not in their right mind, folks. They're not. This women, and there were two of them that were backing her up, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. You've got to be. Why? There were a few other people that were saying stuff. I didn't say that much, but she, for whatever reason, recognized my name, and she was like, John Turner on capitals, and she went crazy. He's like, you're the nut job talking about werewolves and, Dogman, blah, blah, blah. This is a Bigfoot group. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing what you're doing. Except I'm not. I'm not saying that I care about a war because I'm worried about the Bigfoot population. She's like, you don't even believe in Bigfoot. That's why you're in here. Yeah, bro. I'm like, I do believe in it. I believe in it wholeheartedly. But there's a couple things to unwrap there, folks. First of all, I don't care. I care about the people dying. Call me crazy, but, that's, the humanitarian in me just cares, I only care about people. And then she was like, I bet if they were cats and dogs, you probably wouldn't even care then either. Because I said something about I like pets or something. They're like, it's not like our pets are dying. I care more about that. That's the other guy said that. I didn't even say that. I was just like, was not even trying to like be snarky at first. I was just like, look, this is probably not a subject that should be, that shouldn't even be this is not a page for that. Like, this is a serious thing. There's a war going on and somebody else had said something. She got all offended. So what do you think's going to happen? And then she was like, I can't remember all of it, because it's not that important, but she was just they were angry. I don't know how many of you in this chat remember that episode. That was a classic skit there, along with Amazing Dumb. You remember Amazing Dumb, the little lizard story, with the backpack? And a lot of people ask me about those episodes. I can't remember the episode of that. I'll try to find it with the Bigfoot, It was before the first conference. I remember that. Because this woman, she gotten so mad. And I guess they removed her from the group too. Because I asked the question, I was like, why am I being removed from this group? Or something? There's other people who are saying that you're all going to be removed. I'm like, wow. I was like, couldn't you just like maybe, give me a slap on the wrist or something? Why do I got to be removed and get kicked out? And they're like, let this be a lesson to you. Like, it's not. It's really not. This group is stupid. Okay, it's really stupid. As I said, they left people posts in there. Literally, people were talking about eating, like what? No lie. They were talking about what flavor of Pop-Tart they like to eat, and maybe Bigfoot like that type. And it was dumb. It was some dumb stuff in there. But a lot of those groups are really that stupid. They're stupid for real. They do some stupid things. And then they're like, oh, you're the Dogman guy. You shouldn't be talking to us about this stuff, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? You know, I'm not the Dogman guy, just like David Whitley's not the black-eyed kids guy. First thing you come in on shouldn't be what you are known for the rest of your career. Yeah, we talk about that, but and people say, you're an expert in Dogman. Go be an expert. I never said I was. I never said that. I don't even say that, though. There's like people like, oh, there's no expert. And cliche. No shit. You don't even have to say that, LoJack. Look, let me tell you something. Okay? There are always those like manlets that do that. There's no experts. You know, of course. Because if you knew that my IQ was that much higher than yours, because all you have as a manlet, the only thing you have is your supposedly big brain. That's it. And then you're like, wow, he can't have that. He can't be physically superior, mentally superior, you know, spiritually superior, whatever. You can't, they will not allow you. There's no way. You can't have all those. They got to take something from you, these manlets. And so they get upset. And so what this little, you know, Pikachu dude looks like, he probably would wear a Pikachu shirt type guy. He started saying something, you know, you go to his Facebook and he's like this really big fat dude who lives in his mommy's basement and he's like eating cheese fries or whatever. Literally, that's on his page. He goes and tells me, oh, you're gone. You're out of here, buddy. He's like, you're out of here. That's my cane. My Big Daddy cane. Yeah. You shall not pass the psychiatric evaluation. Something wrong with your head. I'm waiting for my beard to go white and then just have it long and be like, oh, long ago, we fought the orcs on that hill and the dragon smog. It was horrible. We had environmental alerts every day, Johnny. It was horrible. I'm telling you. That dragon caused so much pollution. We tried to get him to go get his emissions test done, but he just wouldn't. And I knew that he was the main cause of global warming. He's like, Can I go back to playing video games? Sure you can. Then when he's walking off, you're like, you trip him. You're not my grandchild. You're no grandchild of mine. You're not going to listen to my ridiculous stories. What's wrong with these kids and these skits? What's wrong with them? Be an adult. I'm 9. Well, you've got a lot of growing up to do. Kids. But these people in this group, and they're really upset. They're like, oh, yeah, you really offended a lot of people, you know, blah, blah. I'm like, why? Because the lady started flipping out. It's a big nothing burger, dude. What's a big deal? Oh, really? Oh, really? You want to argue? This guy's getting all huffy and puffy and talking about he would go 10 rounds with me or something. Like, it ended up like that. I was like, dude, no, you wouldn't. You would walk out and you would fall onto the canvas because you have no wind, and then they'd have to come out and, you know, they'd have to give you oxygen, and then you'd have to be picked up, you know, like carried up, you know, by a crane. No way. He's like, I've seen you too, Tubby. I was like, yeah, and I can like bench press a truck. Probably could throw it at you too. And I was like, what can you do? Then he just kept talking crap. And I was like, dude, at that time I had posted something on my Facebook, and I was like, go look at my Facebook. There's pictures, there's videos of me like lifting weights and doing all kinds of crap. I said, dude, I'm punching heavy bag, speed bag, whatever. Go look. Do you think I'm some full of shit liar? I'm not. I'm not trying to brag, but I could literally, you know, turn you into a pretzel. So this guy, I guess he thought I was a manlet like him, that I had, you know, the gynecomastia like him, and I had all the markings of, you know, just being completely unhealthy, you know, where your blood turns to just slush. It's just goo from all the cheeseburgers and stuff. That's not me. That's not me. It's not who I am. That's not, people want to talk. They want to talk a bunch of crap. Make a little funny jokes and stuff like that. Go ahead. You'll see. But that's the thing. I get in trouble and I get kicked out. You know, they throw me out the game, right? But that's what's going to happen because they don't like what you're saying. They don't like what you're saying. They don't like how you say it. And because you won't bow down and kiss people's ass and play nice with hoaxers, fraudsters, and just act weird, because you won't play ball with these people, I don't feel like I should have to. I don't know why I would be, the one that you would mess with. There's a lot of people saying what I'm saying, but you don't like my delivery, or maybe I'm just too close to the truth, or what is it about it that you're so angry about? Because when you break it down, you get down to the brass tacks, you're very, very, very jealous. And everything that you do, I did. That's right. That's how that works, right? And then they're like, these people want to be me. Ain't nobody want to be you, dude. Everybody wants to be their own self. I dare say people want to be remembered for something, for doing something. There's nothing wrong with that. But just remember, pride comes before the fall. So these people go out talking about, Bigfoot. They care about it, whatever. You don't care about Bigfoot. That's what the guy said. And I told him, I don't. I really don't. I care about the subject and how it's going to get us closer to the ultimate truth. But I really don't care about their existence, because I'm not one of these people that's out there feeding them and getting myself looking more like a good snack. So that's the thing. When you put yourself out there, which like we have, you're going to get haters. People are going to be pissed. They're going to be angry, and they're going to do and say a bunch of vile crap. They're going to come after you in every way, shape, or form. No, I need a haircut, folks. I'm just not caring. But the thing is, I have to do what I have to do. I have to bring you what I know. And if I bow down to the pressure of these people and allow them to bully us and kick us off, whatever, and I was just tired. I was tired. People are like, oh, they ran him off. Whatever, man. I was tired. Thank you, Jason, for that donation. They don't like the truth. They don't. And I was wore out. I was tired. I'm working all the time, and I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing the show, and I just didn't feel like there was enough people that were understanding where we were at. And I just said, you know what? The hell with it. I'm done. Just forget it. It gets nauseating. And you got people saying stuff like that, and you're always tempted to say something to these knuckleheads. And I'm like, why would I bother wasting my time talking to these people? And you waste a day going back and forth to that thread. You're wasting your time going back and defending your position, thinking people are going to wake up and listen and whatever. No, they're not going to. Maybe you planted a seed. Maybe they're going to go back and go, hey, you know what? Maybe he had some good points. But more than likely, they're probably not. They're just going to continue going on their life being an NPC dumbass. And then you're going to be the poor, because you've given too much of yourself to this crap. So you got to abandon them and just go on. Let them, like Jesus says, when you leave a town, dust it off your feet. And that's what I did. It's one of those drinks I have to drink. It's not for flavor, though. It's for my health. Yes, it is. And so, when you stop and you look at this situation, cherry juice. Yeah, Ron, how you doing, Ron Yelton? It's cherry and lemon. This lemon water with like cherry juice in there. The cherry juice helps with the gout. So when you stop and you look at these people, and just consider the source, and tell yourself you're fortunate that you don't have to know them in your real life. That you can, if you wanted to, not look at your phone all the time and maybe not look at your computer as often, then you wouldn't have to deal with them. Unfortunately for me, it's like when you're a public figure and you start going too far down that rabbit hole, and these people get pissed off. I mean, they get mad. Uncut Savage, I would say, a little honey helps. Yeah, I can't do that because of the sugar in it. I got to like no sugar, none. And I don't eat a lot of sugar. That's another thing. I don't understand what the hell, because I don't eat a lot of sugar. I don't eat a lot of red meat. And I'm just like, I don't. But you'd be shocked at what causes gout. A lot of really healthy foods, like tuna, causes gout. Certain vegetables are really bad for you, like tomatoes. I love tomatoes, and I would eat tomatoes. So maybe that was it. I don't know. I eat a lot of vegetables, but I mean, I'm surprised at how many vegetables are actually loaded with that crap that cause uric acid. But but I've had a lot of people telling me that they went on the carnivore diet and they got rid of all that. That it's better if they eat that. I'm like, yeah, but then they get the heart disease, stuff like that. But yeah, because you're eating bacon and all this red meat with cheese and all this other crap. I see them devouring that shit. I'm like, that is not good for your body. I don't give a damn if you're getting thinner. It's still not healthy. It's not good for your body. And I have a friend of mine, his cholesterol's through the freaking roof. I'm like, yeah, because you're doing that carnivore diet off and on for 2 years. Intermittent fasting works just as good. And there's just, you can eat a little bit of carbs. But people are like, nah, I don't want to eat this meat with this cheese every meal. Somebody said that too, Missy. Baking soda and water will help your gout. Yeah, I don't know, man. I couldn't find a whole lot on that. I guess I could look again. So, what are your thoughts, folks, on what we've talked about tonight? In particular, what we were talking about with these people who had the situation with this Egyptian, it's really gnarly, man. When you stop and you start looking at this dude and thinking like what he did, it was like, well, if I can't have her, no one will. And yeah, I couldn't get over like how obsessed this dude was, man. And the lengths they're willing to go. And for a small little like, infraction on their fragile ego, like somebody said, their fragile ego. Yeah. Their little fragile ego goes crazy because you've offended them. So they have to annihilate you somehow. That's what it seems like with these crazy people. But I can't waste my time with fools. I got to go to where people are that are important to me, where people care about what I say and what I do. And I care about them, and we mutually respect one another, and I don't have to deal with the lunatic fringe, And so, Abe, he started doing his show overnight, late at night, because he didn't want to get trolled. And then they all run over there and they troll him. And I told him, I said, that's going to happen. They're going to keep doing it. These people do not stop, and they damn sure don't sleep. So he had to get a bunch of mods, whatever. His channel's growing. It's called Spiritual Encrypted Encounters with Abe Spears. Go check it out. I mean, he's doing good work. I'm proud of him. I hope he continues it. He's got a good thing. It's overnight, and they were getting about 30, 40, 50 people. It just went up and up. Now it's about 80, 90 people. So go give him a shout. Give him a try. I'm giving him a shout. Go give him a try. And he talks about a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting things. He's had a very interesting life, being as he has a background from when he was a child, from Bruja. Is that not one of the most annoying sounds on earth? My brother slapped a dude doing that one time. He just kept doing it. Brother asked him to stop, and the guy kept doing it. It's a different time. The manlets wouldn't understand. You got to be strong. You got to be tough. If anybody you ever deal with has any kind of, and you're trying to, like I said, if you're an aspiring like YouTuber, podcaster, author, whatever it is that you're doing, or just a researcher, armchair or otherwise, go down that rabbit hole. I encourage you. Get to the truth. You need to ask a lot of questions. And you may be bugging people. You maybe have to do that. I mean, that's what happens. Thank you for that donation. I can't read that. What does it say? Ray? And so whenever somebody says long-time listener, I was wondering, do you think there are people whose presence repels the paranormal unknown? Maybe, possibly. I mean, I think that there are people who attract it and people who just can't see through it. They just will never have an encounter that they have encounter. Let me say this. Everybody has encounters all the time. All the time. I believe this 100%. But how many times do people really perceive what they're seeing? Do they realize that they're even having encounters? That's the $1 million question. Do they understand what they're seeing? Do they perceive it correctly? And I would say most of the time, no. Sadly, because if we did, we would have less problems. And if people took the subject more serious, and try to go into, and I mean by serious, like I crack jokes and stuff like that, but I'm talking about really believing in it, and try to go down the rabbit hole on these encounters. And so do your homework and do what I did and go flush out the truth, figure it out, find out where it's at and get to the bottom of the situation. Because if I hadn't asked the questions and if I would have just left Alex there out on a limb, and when I went back to him and I told him this, and I'm sure you're going to listen to this, Alex, I told you. I know you're probably working right now, but I told you, I said, if you stop and look, go back, remember, the answers, it's very possible that it's there. It's very possible it's there. Possibly something that you had forgotten, which he did. He was like, I remember, but he remembered some of it, but not all of it. He don't remember having the Bigfoot encounter that his brother had in Utah. They were up on a ridge walking in Utah, and they were young kids, and he don't remember it that well, right? That's what he said. And then the other one said, no, it wasn't. We were like, in our early teens or something like that. And he goes, no, and then they argued about it. But I'm going to believe Mark because I think Mark is the one that had it, so I think Mark remembers it better. But he said because the reason that there was a dispute there was not because they don't remember what year they took the vacation there. It was because they lived there. Or not there. They lived in New Mexico. And they would go up to Utah to vacay like once a year. So it could have been one of these different years, right? And so they began to argue about it. And like, not viciously or anything, but going back and forth in this thread that we were on. And they were like, well, one of them told me something interesting. He says, dude, this is crazy that this was Alex. He said, dude, I can't remember it. He's like, but the more I try to remember it, I kind of am remembering it. So I went back and I asked about the encounter. They just saw this thing looking over a big boulder at them, like they saw its head, and then it stood up. So I asked Alex this. I said, you don't remember this thing, right? And about a week goes by, and he messages me. And he says, I think I had a dream about it. And I said, well, what was it? But did you hear your brother tell that story? He said, yeah, but it's been a long time since he told me. He's like, I said, I know he told you, but he hasn't told me recently. And he's like, and I had a dream about it. I said, well, maybe you're awakening to what you saw that day because your brother's pretty adamant that you were there and you should have seen it. He's like, my brother always believed there were Bigfoot there. And I said, was that because y'all were kids and you saw that? Because that's maybe why he believed that. And he goes, yeah, I guess you're right. I said, exactly. He saw it. He's like, but he also claimed to see him in his house. I said, yeah, but there's a reason why he keeps seeing these creatures. I said, I think it has more to do with him. Now, them seeing Anubis is something totally different. That and then seeing this bird-headed, thing. What is it? more than likely it was the Egyptian guy's bullcrap. I mean, you get down to with the power of deduction, you kind of deduce what it is. That's what I think. I would go with that because, Alex didn't really know a lot about that situation. Like, he didn't really know, like, he knew his ex-girlfriend, but he was always like going out to play football, soccer, baseball, whatever. And they lived two different lives. His brother was on the internet all the time. And like he said, he was a little fat nerd, what he said. He goes, but my brother was very athletic and he was always out in sports and playing flag football and other stuff even after we got out of school, And he said that was the difference between him and his brother. Oh, my eyes burn. And he said that he didn't look at it. Alex, like, I never thought about what, all I knew is that her ex-boyfriend was like from Egypt or something. He goes, that's it, Egypt or something. That's it. And that he had given her a hard time. He wasn't even paying attention. And then his brother was like, when he told him about the bird-like thing, he was just like at a loss. He didn't go, oh man, maybe it's something to do with that, even with the description, because he had no clue. But if you do your research, and a lot of these people don't, they do not, and they don't know anything. They don't know snot about anything. They don't know any of this stuff. I've talked to a lot of people in this field, and they'll be like amazed. They're like, how do you know all this? I'm like, and why? Because it's important, dude. Because if you don't know what this stuff is, when somebody gives you an encounter, first of all, you're not even gonna be compelled to go down that road because you're not gonna know what you're looking at. It's like trying to read blueprints and you don't even know what you're looking at. That's the thing. And if you've dealt with it before, then you probably know if you figured it out. But once you figure it out the first time, then you can recognize it again and again, unless you're just stupid. And a lot of these people are. And when you stop and you listen to people's encounters, I sit there sometimes, and not naming any names, I listen to a lot of different shows, but I don't have a lot of time, so I'll pick and choose. And somebody will be interviewing somebody, and there's a couple big names out there that are like, and I'm like, that's not the good. If your thing is just interviewing people, which there's a lot of people that do that, a lot of people. But a lot of people that are doing this, they just don't do in my opinion, they don't interview, they don't ask the pertinent questions. Like, the person will throw something out there and they'll just go, huh, like looking all concerned, but that's it. That's all, folks. I mean, and you're going like, hey, there's a whole world of, these, like what Abe is talking about, these beings, they're like, this guy was literally on this show, and like I said, I don't want to get too much information. People figure out what I'm talking about. And this guy, he just sat there. Like, that person was talking, and they would throw something out there, and this guy just goes, wow, huh, oh, that's interesting. Like, dude, like, go in on this. Or you got people that'll just literally sit there and let them talk and not say anything. Maybe throw a sentence out there once in a while. This guy was at least asking some questions, but I got really perturbed. I quit watching him. I just can't do it. I can't watch him. If you're not going to interview correctly, I'm not going to waste my time. When I'm sitting there going like, if I talk to that person, which is probably one of the reasons why I can, present so many people's stuff, because I'm going to ask the questions, get to the bottom of it, and it's going to be hours of entertainment for you guys, but hours of information too, for all of us. Because that's what needs to be disseminated. These people aren't doing that. I'm sitting there screaming like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I'm like, hello, that person just said something you should ask, but you didn't recognize it. And that person just gave you all the clues and nothing. And this person's got thousands of people watching his shit. And you're like, this is useless. And there's a bunch of them doing this, man. And I'm like, good gravy, man. What's going on with these people? So you're sitting there and you're like, dude, what is wrong with these people that they can't ask these pertinent questions? Is it that hard to open your mouth when you need to? Because a lot of times people are, it's like watching somebody throw like somebody into a pool. Of course I did like this. So it's a child, obviously. You're like your kid. You know how to swim? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Go swim. All right, little trooper. Oh, he's not doing too good. Looks like he's drowning. Well, we'll just have another one. That one didn't pass the salt test either, the smell test either. That's it. Didn't pass the salt. They're like, geez, Bob, you're pretty hard on these children. They're just toddlers. You should stop and have, whatever. No. I want my kid to be Spartan. If he can't swim across that pool at the age of 9 months, then that's what happens. Because these people that they're interviewing, they're like this. They're like flailing, and they're like, and they're telling you what happened to them, and you're going, oh. Well, you can look at the look on their face, and you're like, this, what the freaking hell? On my hiatus, I watched a couple, and I was like, not impressed, dude. I was like, wow. If that person was with me on there, we would get to the bottom of this stuff, because I would have asked the right questions, because I recognized what the hell they were saying. And that there's nothing. There's just dead air. You're just not, great. You're doing great. And everybody's like, oh, they're nice. And this and that. Yeah, great. That's cool. They're nice. Great. All right. But they're not that nice because you don't know them. But I'm going to tell you this. This is the situation that's going on with all of these people in this. There's a whole bunch of them. And I'm not saying everybody's doing it. I'm not saying I'm the only good one or whatever. That's bullshit. What I'm saying is that there's too many of them that are being followed by a lot of people. And yeah, you're getting some information, but it's like if somebody is just giving you the dessert, like you sit down to eat a meal and there's no nutritional value. They just bring you some flan or some cheesecake. Here you go. You're like, well, where's the protein in the car? No, you don't need that stuff. That's all overrated. Just eat your cheesecake and shut up, Debbie. Yeah, I don't want that. What I want is something nutritional that's going to make me healthy, not just that, the fluff. Really? How about if I do this? What about now? Yeah, all you did was just I know, whipped cream, right? Right? Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not happy with this, because I actually ordered a steak and some potatoes, asparagus. Look, you're not getting it. Like I said, you pay me for members only content, right? Then I sit there like a dumbass and don't ask pertinent questions and don't recognize the shit that is being talked about. And when I do say something, it's all pre-programmed bullshit, or it's something that I believe theologically, so I don't go down those rabbit holes. Very dangerous. Twist the ankle. Then why don't you jump off of YouTube or off of whatever place? You just jump. I don't care, because this is ridiculous. And you look and see how many people, and a lot of these people, I know they're faking the funk, they're buying and all that and whatever. But then a lot of them aren't. They're really legitly big, and people like them and think that those people are something. And you're going like, what in the hell is going on here? When you were a kid, you were dropped on your head, right? You never ate good food, so you think that, a box of Cheerios is fun. And, or Fruit Loops, which I guess would be funner than the Cheerios, but still bad. It's not good for you. And then you have no palate. You don't understand. And then you think that's entertaining. And then you're okay with it because you don't know the other side. You don't realize it. And that person has a treasure trove of content and whatever you need right there. That person probably knows other people who've had encounters, because they've probably been telling people their whole life, hey, this is what happened to me. This is crazy. And they're like, no. Or they're like, Bigfoot was a spirit? What? Huh? Yeah. Well, the heck with that, buddy. That's not going to sell. We need to say that you had a Bigfoot encounter. It was scary. But it was physical, or there was some kind of, like you were given it donuts and some sort of habitat, we need that. Let's do that. And then let me talk about some subjects and catch you with a catchy title. And then let's not even go very deep. Let's just go dip the toe in and then let everybody leave feeling like they just got slapped with the steak that they ordered, and then they walk back to the kitchen. And then you're like, well, there's a little bit of juice here. But like, take your fingers out of your mouth. You're not supposed to have anything. That juice could contain protein. I told you could have the cheesecake. What do you want, the pimp hand? I thought that's what that was. No, that's just the steak in the hand. Here comes the other hand. You better get up. You better get out of here. Get out of my chat, buddy. I'm not talking about one particular person, and it's not VC who I'm talking about. No, he's definitely they're in there, but there's another guy. I'm not going to say the name. I'm just disappointed too, and I'm like, what the hell, dude? Like, what in the? I mean, like I listened to this and I was like, that right there, you should have interjected something instead of just sitting there acting concerned. You're a very concerned person. And there's several people that do that. Like there's a lot of them. They're almost like cookie cutter, and you're like, dude, what the hell? If I'm going to waste my time listening to your program, then give me something. And I damn sure I'm not going to pay for the members' content on your bullshittery because it's garbage, first of all. And you're not capable of giving us the full, what do you say, like the full Monty. That's probably not a good answer. Whatever. You're not giving it to us. I'm not seeing anything unique or special. And then they take these guests that should be like the treasure trove of whatever, and they just annihilate that because there's nothing good coming out of it. They're just sitting there, and the person's just kind of rambling and whatever, and they're not really interjecting and giving them anything to bite into. They don't have anything else to throw in there. And I know that they've had other people with similar encounters that they could at least say, well, there was a person that saw something that was like blah, 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 blah. They don't even do that. And then they want you to pay to play. I mean, like, no, dude, no, hell no. Not when you can't even like come up with give me something, dude. Give me something. Feed me, Seymour. I mean, and this is not cool. And it's beyond aggravating at this point. And then, but people will disparage you in a heartbeat because you're doing what? What needs to happen? What's supposed to happen? You got to ask these questions. You got to do what you're supposed to do. And nobody's doing it. They're not. I'm telling you. Very few people doing it. And I'm sorry. Some of these people I know personally, and I'm actually okay with them, but I'm not okay with that. Because I can't watch it. Because I can't sit there. Thank you. I can't sit there and go through that. I just can't. Anyways, folks, that's it. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I appreciate everybody that donated. Let me read this off here. We got a bunch of people here. Rebecca, thank you for that donation. Very generous. Thank you. And Michelle Delaney. I can't put my glasses on here. Oh, damn, what the hell happened to him? Moved him. Rebecca Mondragon, she says, God bless you, Wolf, Nelly, Anthony, Tony, Michelle Delaney. Andre Voss, new member. We don't have members content. We just do the giveaways. And right now, I can't give you an ETA on when I'll be able to get up and about and do what I got to do to facilitate that and do the giveaways, whatever. So I can't give you a time until I'm able to get up and move around and do whatever because I'm pretty hands-on with that stuff. I can't just. I made the mistake of just letting Tony go and do the giveaways. People are like, hey, I didn't get this, I didn't get that. Okay, let's, so I want to be on with that. So Rita Burnett, thank you for that donation. Jason Broussard, gifted 10 Paranormal Roundtable memberships. That's why I saw so much green in there. Jason, again, for that donation. Thank you. He says, simply said, it's truth, good versus lies, evil. Thanks, Wolf, for taking the time to continue on our journey. Susie Jago, praying for peace and comfort. Yes, please. Alan Howell, great show, Josh. Alan Howell, super sticker. Thank you. Rebecca, again, thank you for that. So kind, very generous person. John Villafranco, thank you. Good to see you again. Under Fire, became a member. Dr. Fox, super sticker. Katie Finnerty, new member. Jason Broussard again. He said they don't like truth. And then I said, no, they don't. And then that's it. Hi, Cal Roy. Or, no, wait, sorry. Hi, Cal Ray. So, what is that profile picture? I can't tell what that is. Anyway, it says, hey, Josh, longtime listener. I was wondering, do you think there are people whose presence repels the paranormal unknown? And we talked about that on the show. So thank you for everybody that tuned in. Thank you for everybody that donated generously. Thank you for everybody that's helping the show grow together. Hopefully we can get to the bottom of these things, you know. And I'm not trying to discourage you from watching anybody or doing anything. I'm not gonna be specific and tell you everybody that I'm like, because I'm disappointed and whatever. I'm just, you know, but I really am. People that should be leaders in this field should be doing a better job. And I'm like a fan, just like you. Like if you go over there to listen to their show, I'm listening to the show because I want to hear this stuff. So if I'm going to your show, I'm going to be very critical. You know, I'm not going to be vocal too much about it. I haven't been. I haven't threw them under the bus or put them on blast or anything like that. But I'm like, dude, there's been several people that I've been disappointed by, you know, in the last year or so, you know, and I'm just like, dude, it's not that hard. You know, they're literally giving you the information and you're not, you know, you're not taking it in and giving us what we're paying for. And get me this. People are like, well, you didn't pay for it. You said you don't listen to the members only content. I don't, but I'm paying anyway. You know what I'm paying with? Time. My time is going into what you're doing. So it's that simple. So, you know, just my thought, and there's like I said, you know, just aggravating as hell, dude, because there's several people that just, they get a really good, you know, plethora of information and they're not really breaking it down, you know, like they should, disseminating it. And I'm just, it's very frustrating. Head trip, I don't know. Somebody broke into my bank account through my regular bank debit card. And so can he use a gift card? I have no idea. All he can do is try. I don't know. But so anyways, folks, Anthony, if you'd be so kind, I don't know if you're listening or paying attention or whoever, somebody, one of you guys can put the link. There was people asking about how to donate randomly without having to do it on the show. And there's a PayPal link we got. And then a link to the Patreon. So if you guys could post that on there, that'd be great. We need it when you start doing that on every show because people are asking about that, and I have no way to, you know, I have to sit there and do it individually to anybody who asks, and that's kind of, you know. Hey, Joanne, how you doing, Joanne Hartnett? It's pinned at the top of the chat. Okay. All right. And then the Patreon too needs to be pinned or put up there, whatever. All right. So everybody, I'll see you next week because next week is tomorrow. Probably won't be tomorrow, but you know, you never know when this week, and I'm not doing anything. I might jump on with Abe. But you know, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. That helps the channel grow. And like I said, people, you're paying with your time. You want to get your money's worth, your entertainment, whatever you call it, because you could be at a job working and getting paid to do that. Instead, you're here with us, you know. And so you're giving me your time. I want to do the best I can to make it worth it, you know, because the whole point, you can't solve the mysteries of the universe with 1, 2, 3 hour show, but you know, I mean, hell, let's be real here. Like this. There's a lot that can be done, you know. Instead, these people are just wasting time with people. I don't know what it is. I mean, you know, and there's a whole bunch of them doing it. I can't even watch anymore, some of these things. All right, man. I'll see you guys. Love you.